All right, everybody, here we go. Today is Thursday, May 7th, 2026. My name is Rob Carter. Welcome to the future. #1 radio/podcast in America. I got to tell you, everybody, I'm not feeling well, and I was so excited for the show. It's a bummer. You know, you get sick right when you have a show that you're incredibly excited about. Big information show today. We're going to take the first hour and talk about things that I think are important that are going on in the world. Just an absolutely fantastic interview last night between Tucker Carlson and Thomas Massey, and I want to talk about that because all the things that I think are going on in the world, Thomas Massey, whether you love him, hate him, doesn't really matter to me. He talked about him last night, and I agree with pretty much every word that he says. And I want to play some of those clips for you. It is odd, you know. Yesterday, it was probably our one of the lowest as far as reach shows yesterday. Remember, we always talk about the algorithms. It doesn't make any sense how yesterday went down. And what did we talk about? We talked about, is Donald Trump doing what he told us he was going to do? It is odd how the algorithms work. So it is what it is. I don't know what to make of it, but that's what went down yesterday. And he talked about Thomas Massey talked about Donald Trump. MTG is out, and she is really going after Donald Trump now. It's very strange what is happening. So his supporters, people that had endorsed him, Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene, are making some very good points against Donald Trump. And again, as we look through all of the commentary yesterday that I was looking through, I think it's 50-50, Isaiah. 50% of the people say that you got to be patient, Rob. Donald Trump there's something on the horizon, and I'm not refuting that. I'm not saying that you're wrong. And the other half are like, come on, this is getting ridiculous. It's been 10 years. I mean, how long are you going to go on with this farce? Obviously, this guy's a con job, the whole thing. I don't know what to make of it, Isaiah. I'm really kind of caught in the middle. I'm not buying what he's selling as far as, I should have clarified this a little bit yesterday. I'm not buying what he's selling when he comes out and says he's shut the Strait of Hormuz, or he opened it up, or he's going to get rid of your income taxes. I just think it's just all bluster and nonsense. And that's what bothers me. Is he trying to do what's best for America? Yet to be seen. It really is. It's yet to be seen. But that confusion is something that continues to bother me. I just do not know what direction this country is heading, and it makes me uncomfortable. I think it makes a lot of people in this country anxious, and I just want to bring it to your attention so that at some point we can determine whether we have been conned and whether this was all just one big story, one big production, one big theatrical performance, or is it just right around the corner? Is the hopium just you stay, suck up that hopium, and hope that something good happens? Let me get into the show very quickly. We're going to have a guy by the name of Lloyd Sloan on. Lloyd Sloan has a degree in economics from Harvard. He is challenging all of these Republican establishment people that are praising this income tax restructuring bill where they're going to get rid of the Missouri income tax and replace it with sales and usage taxes. Mm-hmm. He's not a fan. I see him on social media. He's trying to get anybody to debate him. Again, a degree in economics from Harvard. He is the founder of No Mo Sales Tax. So if you're interested in how this whole sales tax, income tax redistribution of taxation, if you're interested in that story, he's going to come on at 10 and we're going to walk through it. I'll be very patient. Sometimes when people talk finance, you can ask my wife. I'm not really good with finance. I've just never somebody who cared really about. I like to make it, but I don't really. That's not my driving goal for anything that I do. And I like to make money, but that's kind of where it's at. So I don't really dig into financial stories. Generally speaking, it's just not my thing. I'm not very good at it. So he's going to have to walk me through it nice and slow because it's a complicated bill. Isaiah, were you with me when I read through that bill originally? The income tax bill?
I don't think so.
It's like from another country. I mean, it's like Chinese math. You can't possibly figure out what they're talking about, and they have to explain it to you. And I always say, why do bills and legislation, why does it have to be that complicated? Why are you making bills that you would need a degree from Harvard to understand? Well, we're going to have a guy from Harvard with a degree in economics to explain it to us at 10 o'clock. At 10:30, we made big news the other day with Act 4. They put out they sunshined a video in the Senate where we are trying to get them to live stream from the Senate. Now, they take video, but in order to get that video, you have to get a request from the Missouri government to see it.
Yep.
So ultimately what happened was, and again, I just hope that people will donate to these operations. Number one, we have been getting a ton of donation lately. I got to tell you, just heartwarming for me. It's been a while. We couldn't advertise it when I was on the radio. I had to pay for the advertising. So it kind of just got a little stagnant there for a little bit because we couldn't talk about it. We're getting donations, big donations, small donations. We're getting a lot of donations lately. And I just want to tell you, if you if you have not heard me say thank you, I can't thank you enough. We just got to get the operation running. We have somebody that runs the website, and we don't always get back to people. They'll make a big donation. They're probably like, we don't even get a thank you. We don't get in anything. I thank you very much. It's just right now, it's just all hands on deck. We're trying to keep the operation running smoothly, and we're probably not doing a good enough job of thanking people that have donated. But just as much as People's Lobby Missouri, we need your donations. It's a pressure campaign. It's a marketing campaign. That's what it is. If you go to peopleslobbymo.com, if you want to donate, great. If you want to sign up to get information from us, here within the next not too distant future, we will have this thing up and running because money from advertising is beginning to come in. Donations are starting to come in. So now we can put people in place, pay them to take care of our website, update our website, create information, create content, that kind of thing. So peopleslobbymo.com, that's number one. And then I really, as much as I'd love to get donations for our organization, I got to give a lot of credit to Act 4 Missouri. Act, the number 4, mo.org. These people are working their tail off to get information out to the citizens of Missouri. And if they had a bigger platform, if they could advertise themselves, if more and more people understood what they're trying to do for you, there'd be donations flowing in because they work their butts off. They put the information in a manner that you can understand it. And they're just doing a terrific job. So we'll have Amy Castro and Mike Compton in at 10:30. So if you're into Missouri politics, you wonder what's going on down there. I'm not a big fan of the legislative process in the state of Missouri. I don't like the things that are coming out of Jefferson City. They'll walk you through some of the most recent legislation, and you can determine whether you like it or not. And then a big interview. He reached out to us, didn't he, Isaiah? Which is kind of interesting because he's from South Carolina. His name is Tyler Dykes. And I would assume that he has heard me speak somewhere. He probably got a video somewhere or something on X or something on one of the platforms because we think exactly the same. Tyler Dykes and what he sees going on in this country is right in line with the way I see it. He said it's a one-party system. I agree it's a one-party system. And, when I explain that, there's always new listeners, there's always new viewers, and I have to explain this to people that might not have heard me say it before. It's a one-party system in the sense that money controls the outcome. It doesn't mean that you're going to send a Republican off to Washington, D.C., and they have nefarious intent in this guy. That's not what I'm saying. They just don't have any power. They don't have any power. The Speaker of the House in D.C. and the Speaker in the House in Missouri, they're the ones who originate the legislation. And if they don't like what you're doing, they just don't bring it up for a vote, and it just dies in the dark. You just don't see it. We really have consolidated power in Washington, D.C. and around the states. And it's incredibly disturbing if you're a person who enjoys freedom. Really disturbing. Tyler Dykes is running for the seat that Nancy Mace is vacating. You know who Nancy Mace is, don't you, Isaiah?
Yep.
Nancy Mace, very attractive woman in Washington, D.C. She was spoken about the Jeffrey Epstein files. She wanted them released. She is vacating her seat, and Tyler Dykes is running for it. He was a January 6th prisoner. I can't wait to talk to him about just how the whole thing went down, from the arrest, what it was like in prison. I really want to dig into that J6 situation. He's a former Marine, but they're never a former Marine. Never mind. I apologize for that. My Marines get mad at me when I say that. He's a Marine. He is a business owner. He shares the same exact view of the world that I do. I've been watching his videos now, and I'm like, man, I really, really, really like this guy.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be on at 11 o'clock. He's running for U.S. House Rep out of South Carolina to replace the vacant seat of Nancy Mace. Again, Marine, January 6th prisoner, business owner, and now running for U.S. Congress. Okay. Let's talk about Helen Gellhop because I'm ill and I'll probably be calling Helen today. So let me just start with my new advertiser, advancedwellnessmed.com. Can you bring her up while I'm talking? As she says, she wants to assist the divine healer. She's a spiritual woman. She is not doing it for money. If she was doing it for money, she's doing it the wrong way. She got out of the hospital administrations. She said, Rob, I'm free to care for people the way I want to care for them. And I want to do it the way I want to do it because I have, she's got technologies that she likes to use. If she wants to send somebody off to a specialist, it doesn't have to be within her little program. She can send them to whoever she wants because she's a free doctor. Don't you like the idea of a free doctor? If you're old enough to remember, doctors used to be free. And then Obamacare came in and the hospital administrations came in and the collaboration between the hospital administrations and the insurance company. And then it all evolved into one big jumbled mess. She didn't get involved with it. She runs her own show. As she says to me, she says, Rob, think, feel, look better, live longer. That's what we try to do here. Feel, think, look better, live longer. She has the earliest cancer detection blood test. So if you have cancer in your family, you're worried about it, you're getting to an age and you want to say, you know what, am I susceptible to cancer? Is this something on the horizon? She's got a blood test that can give you early detection if that is going to be a problem for you. And then the one that I really am interested in myself is Alzheimer and dementia symptom reversal. I know a lot of families now that are dealing with somebody with Alzheimer or dementia, and it's a very difficult thing to be involved with for families. You know, you got to take care of the people that you love. They're not seeing the world in a proper light anymore, and they start to make life difficult for caretakers. And she said, we can reverse those symptoms. So Alzheimer and dementia symptom reversal, cancer control. She's got a lot of things that are very interesting from a technological standpoint. Her background in cancer, she had cancer. She had to, there was I can't think of his name right now. I think his last name is Soon, but he was on Tucker Carlson. And she said, Rob, do you know this guy? And I said, when I looked him up, I recognized his face right away. She goes, that was my mentor. He had what I needed for my cancer. And I think she said she drove up to Chicago, knocked on his door, eventually got the care that she needed, and her own cancer, she cured herself, you know? So she has a whole different view on the way to care for people who have cancer. I think she's absolutely fantastic. Cannot give her a higher recommendation. AdvancedWellnessMed.com. You got cancer screening, heart attack screening. If you have somebody in your life that has Alzheimer's or dementia, first person you should give a call to is Advanced Wellness MED. Check them out on their website, AdvancedWellnessMed.com. All right, let's get into this show because we got about 45 minutes before we bring Lloyd Sloan with No Mo Sales Tax. That's going to be a very interesting conversation.
Yep.
First, let's
tell everyone to like and share the stream. That was one of our problems yesterday, is that we didn't ask anyone to.
Tell me that actually, I never think of that because I'm just not used to it. And you tell me if you don't ask for donations and if you don't ask people to like and share, then it's a big mistake on my part. And
yes,
you got to remind me every day.
Huge. Yeah, it's probably one of the most important things to do within the first 15 minutes. Everyone is to like and share the stream, because that's how the algorithms work. Is it's looking for within those first few minutes after we start the live stream to see how many people are liking it, engaging with it, and that's how it decides to show it to more people. Otherwise, it's going to stop showing it to more people, and it won't be able to reach more people. And so, super important that everyone likes it, shares it, and starts commenting right away on all the platforms: Facebook, Rumble, X. That's how they all work. So please do that.
That's what Isaiah tells me. He says, no matter what, you can trick the algorithms. He goes, no matter how hard they try to suppress you, no matter what they do, there's always a way around the algorithms. If you're a daily listener of the show and have been from the radio days, maybe even the original podcast days, help us out. Let's spread this.
People, right? We could push it out.
We do things different than everybody else. We really do this because we want to get to the truth of the matter. We want to make society better. You know, we're an advocacy group who just happens to be doing a podcast, radio, and the like. Okay. I want to talk about Thomas Massie. I happen to like Thomas Massie and a lot of Donald Trump supporters.
Great interview.
They can't stand him. I thought this interview last night, I was riveted by it. And I listened to it again last night when I was going to sleep. Probably why I didn't feel good last night, because I was listening to it, trying to go to sleep, and I couldn't go to sleep because normally it's background noise when you're going to bed and you hear it and you just fall asleep. I love the interview. I thought that they covered all of the topics that I'm interested in. Literally every single topic that I'm interested in, they discussed. And Thomas Massie, I don't know enough about him to endorse what he's up to. He could be a part of the entire machine for all I know. But what he says makes perfect sense to me. Donald Trump, he endorsed Donald Trump. Let's just start there. Let's go with clip number one, because yesterday, it's interesting because yesterday we said, are you still buying what Donald Trump is selling? Here's what he told you he was going to do when he became president, both in 2016 and 2024. And I think we went through 17 or 18 different issues of things he said he would resolve, and they've yet to be resolved. Now, he might get to all of these things, but indicators tell me that's probably not going to happen. And he said, this is why I endorsed Donald Trump originally. Clip number one.
Let's do
it. When I endorsed him, I thought we wouldn't have a new war. I thought we would get warrants for FISA that they had used to spy on him. I thought that Maha would be front and center at the HHS with Bobby Kennedy there. I thought that we would have sane foreign policy. I thought that where we put America first, that's my definition of sane. I thought we would end our involvement in the war in Ukraine. I thought we would release all the Epstein files and indict some of those SOBs. And those are all the things I'm still fighting for.
Right. These are
Sounds like
just a handful of things. I didn't even really talk about COVID yesterday.
No.
You know, COVID is the biggest one for me. COVID was, I wanted Donald Trump to be president in 2024 because I was under the impression that this whole COVID thing, that he got schnookered into COVID. And I thought Donald Trump would come in 2024. He would explain what these people were saying to him. He would explain how this whole thing rolled out. But that's not what he did. Instead, he said, yeah, I'm still getting boosters and it's still on the schedule. And you have 3 states right now. You have 3 states that are calling the COVID genetic therapies bioweapons. You have 3 states trying to introduce legislation because of the information that is out there that the COVID vaccinations that both parties sold as hard as they could, and all the media corporations tried to sell you on that COVID shot, all the big corporations as well. You couldn't work unless you got it. I thought there was going to be some resolution to that. To me, outside of just an all-out shooting war, that was the most devastating thing I've ever seen. I mean, you talk about disruption in life. Again, coworkers, family members, your job, your ability to travel, your ability to go to church, your ability to go to AA meetings if you were in AA. All of these things were put on hold, and the only way to get out of it was to stick a needle in your arm with something you now know was not healthy for you. It did 0 good for you. The only effect it could have on you was nothing or illness. That's it. And they sold it day in and day out. And it just amazes me that the people that are still following Donald Trump and just are complete faith in everything that he's doing haven't said to themselves, man, he probably should get down to the bottom of COVID. I mean, it was a lie from the very beginning, right? I mean, do you think most people accept that, Isaiah? I always ask that question because as time goes on, I continue to wonder why people aren't accepting the fact that COVID was planned in advance. It was planned in advance. The Rockefeller Foundation wrote a report on it in 2010. And then you could read it, and then they followed it to the letter.
And then
Event 201, you can watch it on YouTube. Yeah, you had the CIA telling the news companies how to answer questions about COVID when people started going, what's going on here?
You remember the simulation they did too before?
Yeah.
Yeah, the pandemic. Oh, we're just going to do a pandemic simulation.
Yeah.
No.
That was Event 201. It was called a pandemic preparedness simulation.
Yep.
That's what it was. And that was just a few months before they rolled the whole thing out.
Crazy.
It's just to me crazy, and that has not been addressed just yet. So Massey telling you why he endorsed Donald Trump. It is why I fought so hard for Donald Trump in both 2016 and 2020. 2024, I was a little less impressed by the time we got to 2024. Hopeful, but not in the same way that I was in 2016. And then he talked about FISA warrants. And again, we're going to have Tyler Dykes on the show, and he said it's a one-party system. The quicker you start to recognize that you don't really have Democrats and Republicans, you don't have conservatives and liberals, you have puppets that are answering to big money. It doesn't matter whether you're left or the right. That's just all a game to keep you fighting with each other. And he's right. He's right. And you can tell it through observation. You don't need to take my word for it. Just watch it. That's what's going down. But listen to him talk about 702 FISA warrants. Now, this gives the government the ability to spy on American citizens without a warrant. And you might want to read the 4th Amendment if you're somebody who cares about the Constitution and thinks that should be the guardrail, or those should be the guardrails of how you are governed. Just go read the 4th Amendment. Okay. You cannot surveil people without a warrant, but they decided, you know what? We're smarter than you. We're going to surveil you because we let millions of people in here illegally. And now we can't control what's going on inside of our borders. Since we did that, we're the ones that allowed that in the U.S. government. What we're going to do in order to solve that problem is spy on you.
That'll help you. It'll help you.
It'll be good for you. You're going to love it.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. And and it annoys me, and I'll say it every time somebody says it to me. I want to remind people, when you say, I'm not doing anything wrong, I don't care if they spy on me. Well, I do. How about that? How about I care about the Constitution? Is that okay?
Yeah.
I care
Someone's
about.
got to.
What's that?
Someone's got to.
Yeah, somebody's got to be upset. When they break the Constitution, they start wars without congressional approval, when they stick needles on your arm. Let me say this before we get to the 702 FISA warrants. Here's what people need to understand. Your enemy is the government. This government, that's your enemy. Okay, that is your enemy. It doesn't mean those are bad people, but the people that are pulling the strings, the people with the money, the people with the PACs, the people that are printing the money, the people that are sticking needles in your arm, the people that continually lie to you on corporate press, that's your enemy. But you can't see them as the enemy because that apparatus that you haven't recognized yet is trying to sell you that Iran's the enemy. China's the enemy. Syria is the enemy. Russia's the enemy, right? That's what they try to do. They have to create a boogeyman so that you don't pay attention to what they're doing. But let me just tell you right out of the gate, China didn't demand that I stick a needle in my arm. Was that China? Isaiah, I don't think it was China that said I had to have a needle stuck in my arm. That wasn't China.
Operation Warp Speed, baby.
Operation Warp Speed. That was not China. China didn't pilfer $2.2 trillion out of my pocket and send it off to Wall Street. That wasn't China. That was your government. Wasn't China that allowed 30 million people into this country illegally and waved them on and used your taxpayers to fund it? That wasn't China. That was our government. Okay? Recognize who your real enemy is. Your real enemy is tyrannical government that is trying to pull the wool over your eyes by solving problems that they themselves created. Just remember that. And as you start to recognize that, and this show starts to build and more people see it for what it is, I don't know what the answer is. Now, there's a lot of people that they get very upset with me. They said, Rob, the answer is a revolution. Talking about a revolution. Beatles. You can't even play the Beatles. I think they take it down right away. And I sound so much like the Beatles. I'll probably get that. Boy, my throat is raw. Holy cow. But that's the situation as I see it. I think that our government is a puppet government. I think that they use propaganda and all kinds of very sophisticated techniques to make you think that they're working for you, when in fact they're working against your better interest. And it's all right out there for you to see. The consolidation of the insurance companies and the doctors, the COVID vaccines, the climate change the open borders, the Smith Modernization Act, the kill switches in your cars, the AI data centers that nobody wants. Okay? It is our government we need to pay attention to. It's our duty as citizens to pay attention to our own government. Okay? Let's get to the 702 FISA warrants because Massey touched on them last night. And listen to what he says. He says both parties who cannot agree that today is Thursday, both parties wanted those 702 FISA warrants. Check it out. Clip number 7.
I'm confused. You have one of the most liberal Democrats in the House, Jamie Raskin of Maryland. You have one of the most conservative Republicans in the House, Jim Jordan of Ohio. But they're on the same side on spying on Americans?
For at least 45 days, they're on the same side.
Well, how could Jim Jordan, this ferociously conservative freedom guy, be in favor of spying on Americans without a warrant?
Well, the president told him to.
Yeah, but that's like a core. That's a core
It's always
issue.
been a core issue of his. And in the debate.
Of his specifically.
Correct. It was a condition of being on the Judiciary Committee when I joined. Like you had to believe that we needed warrants on FISA or you couldn't be on the Judiciary Committee that he chaired. That was like the first interview question when you applied for Judiciary
That the
Committee.
Constitution's still real.
Right. And particularly with FISA. 702, this particular program. And he battled last Congress ferociously to get warrants. And it came down to a tie vote where Mike Johnson was the deciding vote. And I don't know why, again, because Biden was president, but enough Republicans voted to let Biden have the power to spy on Americans without a warrant.
Because a lot of that information, that intelligence that's spying on Americans goes directly to Israel, like fact. So,
Absolutely.
Right. So that's what this is really about, is do we allow a foreign country to spy? Does our government make it easier for a foreign country to spy on Americans? It's like the ultimate betrayal. Another
fact, when X decided to show you where accounts were based, where they were set up and where they were operated from, the DHS account showed Israel, that it was set up, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security's X account was set up using an IP address from Israel, using an Android app purchased in Israel. And that doesn't trouble people. Like, there should be an investigation over why, when the DHS set up its Twitter account, it was set up in Israel. Now, they claim, if you ask Grok about this, he'll walk around the bush with you.
Oh, of course.
And say that, well, there were some glitches back in the old day and there were some contractors involved and you can never get to the bottom of it.
Wow.
What do you think of that? Now, this is why we talk about
Very
Israel.
interesting.
This is why we talk about Israel now. Again, if you go back to the radio days, I don't know how much I've talked about this since I got on the podcast. When I started questioning the relationship between the United States and Israel, people came after me like rabid dogs. They did. They were writing letters. There's some character named Jason Sears. I don't know if that's his real name or not, but he was writing letters that I needed to be fired. And I thought, wait a minute, I'm not anti-Semitic at all.
Yeah.
at all. But because I'm questioning the relationship between the United States and Israel, that makes you so angry that you're calling for my firing from the radio station and writing these long letters. And he wasn't the only one.
Yeah.
And I just thought, man, what is going on in this world? Where is this coming from? Why are these people so hell bent on not having a conversation about what's going on? And then legislation followed.
Yep.
In Missouri and around the country, there's legislation that suppresses speech because they don't want you questioning anything that Israel does. It's incredible what is happening in this country right underneath your nose where nobody knows, right? You're going to work, you're driving, it's a sunshiny day, you're taking your kids to ball practice, you're going to pick them up from school, you're going to have a picnic, you're going to go to the grocery store. You don't even know that these things are being done.
Mhm.
And it's so much like the book in the I think it's in the Garden of Beasts. And it talks about what was happening in Nazi Germany in the lead up to World War II. Everybody was just going about their day. Everybody saw these kind of crazy things going on, but they just kind of ignored it because life seemed relatively normal at the time. And it's progressively drip by drip by drip by drip got worse. And then they started attacking everybody, started a world war. And it feels very similar to that to me. Some of these things that are happening that are against our constitutional rights, we're just brushing aside because we trust Donald Trump. I mean, they tried to kill him 3 times. Good Lord, Isaiah. Yeah. Now, whatever he does, he's like a miraculous figure, and he might be. Again, don't get mad at me, Trump fans. I understand that it's possible, but there is no evidence. There's no evidence that that's happening. It's your gut feeling. There's no evidence that that is happening. Evidence is to the contrary. That's the reality of it. It doesn't matter what you feel sometimes, but you have to use your logical brain. If you, I don't even know if people still can use their logical brain. I have some very smart people that are in my life, and I talk to them, and when I get done talking, I got a headache in my head. I'm like, wow.
I think what it comes down to is because I was talking to my wife about this morning because she's like, "Oh my gosh, babe, eggs are $1.83 for a dozen," and I'm like, "Really?" Yeah, because they were $6, and so I don't know either. Yeah, so I'm like, "Oh, is that cheap? Right? Is that I don't know necessarily." And so she's like, "Yeah, that's really cheap. You know, they were getting to $6 a dozen. You know, there for a while, and there were conspiracy theories going around why it was happening." And so I think what they do is they're focusing on these things in the economy where you can see some direct impact a little bit in your day to day, right? And you're like, "Oh yeah, hey, eggs were $6, now they're $1.83."
If everything was bad, it wouldn't work.
Is booming.
Yeah, if everything was bad, it wouldn't work. People just have to realize, you know, how you get tricked into things. The stock market is really high. Stock market hit an all-time high yesterday. If you're in retirement, you have your money in the stock market, and you see the stock market go over 50,000 points, and it's the highest point for you, that's a really good thing. You're living good. You're feeling good about life, and I get that. I get it. I understand it 100%. I like it. You know, my numbers are going up, but is that an indicator of the structure that this administration is putting in place? Is that the structure? Because let's just talk about the markets, right? Because it's over 50,000. Let me find if I can do this. Clip number 4 real fast. This is for my people that listen in from MMTLP. You know, we had this debate not too long ago, if people got to see it, with these 2 warring factions that are involved in MMTLP. And as I was trying to get this debate put together, I became the bad guy for a lot of people because they thought that this Amy that was that kind of disagrees with what the MMTLP situation is. They didn't want her platformed. They didn't want to have any conversation with her. They wanted me to stiff arm her and not let her talk and this kind of thing. And she went right onto the screen and said, "I'll debate anybody." Right? Didn't she? Isaiah, that how it all started?
Yeah.
And then a friend of mine, Junk Savvy, responded back, "I'll do it."
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking, oh, this will be perfect because they don't like each other. I mean, they really don't like each other. Yeah. And I thought this will be kind of interesting because if we get them to communicate and to battle back and forth, and we could put that on the show, I had a feeling it would get volatile, right? I had a feeling that's the way it would go. And I said, if you cut that up, where these 2 people are getting upset with each other, and they're attacking each other, you can cut that up and you can put it out onto social media, and people will be drawn to the fight. It's like when you go past a car that's on fire, you're going to stop and check out the car. You see a car wreck on the side of the road, you're going to check it out. You see 2 people fighting on the side of the road, you're going to rubberneck it and check it out. I believe that this administration is not going to get to the bottom of it because they're complicit in it. Not just this administration, but the previous administration, the one before that, the one before that, the one before that, the one before that. They're complicit in rigging these situations. So I don't think that you're going, I said before, you can't ask criminals to solve your problem for you. Yeah. They're the ones that are creating the problem. So why would you think that they want to solve it? And Tucker Carlson made commentary on that last night at the beginning.
What happened? What ended up happening with that debate? You know, with Junk Savvy and Amy,
it didn't happen, but we had 2 days of people commenting about it. We were talking about these people go at it, but just think if you had the visual of these 2 people arguing with each other back and forth, and you could have seen that on your on X or you know whatever, YouTube, Instagram, whatever, many people would have came in and you could have brought attention to MMTLP. Now, when people see MMTLP, they would have thought, oh, those are those two girls that were fighting, those two ladies that were fighting. Let me check this out. And you could have spread your message, but nobody wanted to do it. And again, I said, Isaiah, I don't understand it. The only thing that makes sense to me is they think they're going to get a political solution from people that are already rigging the system. You think they don't know that the systems are rigged?
Yeah.
You don't think that they know that with all the insider trading that goes on in Washington, D.C.? You don't think that these people have an understanding of what's happening? Doesn't mean there's not a few good people in there.
Yeah.
But in the entirety of it all, they are rigging the system.
Yeah. You got to use the media.
They're getting filthy rich off of it. They don't want you messing it up. Anyway, let's do this.
Yeah, I'll say this to the MMTLP people. Because just like you said, media is how you can put the pressure on, and debate draws attention. And if you don't believe me, you can look this up yourself. The Trump-Hillary debate from 2016 is the most watched show anything in U.S. history. Most watched ever. Right. 84 million people, and that's according to the Nielsen ratings, right? Which is the ratings that counts the viewership for TV, and that's just a debate. And that
people like a good argument.
Exactly.
People like a good argument. So when you have a good argument, you make it, and you get people to pay attention to it. You clip it. That's what social media is all about. And MMTLP, that is your game, right? You're social media warriors. You're relentless. This was your opportunity to cut up and send it out there. And for the love of God, I don't know why you didn't take advantage of it, but
yeah.
Do as you do. It's your money. It's your, it's your, I'm just trying to help. Or I thought I was trying to help. Maybe I turned out to be non-helpful, but I was trying to help.
You're the villain now, Rob.
Maybe, I think with some. Let's do Tucker Carlson, because he talks about the markets being rigged. I actually tagged MMTLP on X today, and I said, here you go. Here's Tucker Carlson telling us what we all know. My complaint again is you can't get corruption to fix itself when they're all enriching themselves at your expense. And Tucker Carlson is beginning to notice. And here's what he had to say. Clip number 4, Isaiah, if you don't mind. Tucker Carlson on the markets.
I'll sell it for what you'll buy it for, and vice versa. It's transparent by its nature. It's self-correcting. That's the basis of our economic system, capitalism, free market capitalism. It always finds the right level, the rational level, because it's based on the free exchange of money for assets. But that's not what we're seeing now. Not at all. Markets are doing things you would not expect markets to do if they were behaving rationally in a free way, if they weren't rigged. You would see, well, certain commodities prices, including oil, go up a lot more than they have. Gold go up a lot more than it has. And yet gold and oil and other commodities have stayed far lower than you would rationally expect them to stay after 60 days of terrible news out of the world's center of global energy production. So the Strait of Hormuz has been closed for months now, in effect. And yet oil, as of airtime tonight, was under $100 a barrel. Much lower than it was in, say, 2008. That is bizarre. But it's more than bizarre. It's fake. It is obvious. It's become too obvious to deny over the past couple of months that public markets are not what they told us they were, which is to say open and free and equal for everyone to participate in. It's going to take a long time for that understanding to percolate down to the level of retail investors. But the knowledge is there, and you can't kind of deny it, that some people are getting rich from this and most people aren't. And it's not exactly clear the mechanisms by which they are, but it's very obvious that it's happening. We're not accusing Bill Ackman of participating in this. It's not like Bill Ackman would talk down share prices in publicly traded companies to make money. Oh, wait, he's done that his whole life. But in this specific...
Very interesting, right? Because as Tucker Carlson is right now, he's the king of alternative press. Like him, love him, whatever your opinion of him. He is the king right now. He is the king. So when I talk about influence, Tucker Carlson has enormous influence. I'd like to get a hold of Tucker Carlson. At some point, we're going to run across each other because I'm starting to do some MC events where I'm told he might be at. And I'm going to say, listen, you gotta talk. I would love for him to talk about MMTLP. I would love to. I'd like to reclaim my spot in their hearts by saying, listen, I am trying to help you. Maybe have him do a show on MMTLP so that people are more aware of it. But the markets there's something going on with the markets.
Yeah.
There's something going on with the markets. Let's talk number 12. Let's get Shannon Joy in here. Have you paid attention to this lady? I've been trying to get her on the show. We were trying to pursue her.
Never seen her before.
I have several people that try to book people for me. And my problem is I'm not that interested in many people. I'm not interested in who everybody else is interested in. That's my problem. I'm interested in people that actually do good things. I'm interested in, I'm not interested in Goliath necessarily. I'm interested in David. Does that make sense? I want to see the little guy that are really trying to make things happen. They're really trying to solve problems. I like to see these people ascend, if you will. And I like this Shannon Joy. I like what she has to say. I think she's talented at what she does. I think she's running for some kind of office in New York City, but she's got a podcast now that she promotes on X. And she was talking about the markets again yesterday. I was actually wanting to talk about this not too long ago because I was reading an article and it was talking about all of the, when Donald Trump says the Strait of Hormuz is shut down, stock market goes up or down. When he says it's open, it goes up or down. When we're at war, it goes up or down. When he says we're not at war, it goes up or down. And people are making big time bets on it that are close to Donald Trump. And they're making bets and they're getting them right.
Wow. What do you know?
You know what I'm saying? That's called insider trading, and they just get away with it because what are you gonna do? Who are you gonna call? You're not gonna call anybody because that's coming straight from the top.
Maybe they were calling Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, maybe Nancy Pelosi was, or Ann Wagner. She's really good at the market as well. Let's hear from Shannon Joy, clip number 12. Check this out. I think she's right on the money. She's reading the same things that I'm reading, with evidence, by the way.
Trump pump and dump last night, 3 a.m. in the morning. A couple people made a cool $125 million. Again, insider trading, this time blatant, obvious. It's right in our faces. Axios is involved. And at this point, I mean, this is so blatant. It makes you wonder what they know that we don't know. The fact that Trump is not worried about the midterms, the fact that Trump has no problem initiating pump and dump schemes and insider trading based on news releases that they're going to end the war or start the war or open the strait or close the strait. I mean, we are looking now, and I have a list here. We're going to go through some of these, at least 4 in relation to ending the war in Iran, and 17 insider trading pump and dump schemes that have probably earned billions upon billions of dollars for those closely connected to the Trump administration. And it's absolutely disgusting. It is a double-barreled, in-your-face middle finger with an extra FU on the side. That's the way. They don't fear us. They don't care. They are absolutely pushing the pedal to the metal in all areas.
Dead on the money. She's right on the money. That's what I said. All of these things, they're doing it right in your face. And then, when you see it right in your face, you make an excuse for it. COVID, you don't want any answers to COVID. You think COVID was as described to us. You think Anthony Fauci didn't know that he was lying to us. What about the scarf lady? Didn't know she was lying to us? The Democrats, the Republicans, Pfizer, Moderna. You think they just all one big mistake?
Oh,
you'd have to be insane to believe that in retrospect. And to allow that to happen to your country and go unchecked by the people, sad. It is. You got to admit it's sad, everybody. You have to admit it's sad. How many people lost friendships, families, lost their job, people died, people got sick, all because of COVID, which was originated in this country. And then they blamed it on China. Yeah. It came out of Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Everybody knows that. China virus.
It's like the data centers.
Yeah. I guess
China's fault.
China's putting in the data centers as well, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Recognize who your enemy is, because you can't fight a war if you don't know who the enemy is. Mm-hmm. If I'm your enemy and I go, Isaiah's the enemy, it's not me, it's Isaiah. Well, then how do you win a war when you're fighting the wrong person, fighting the wrong country?
Yeah.
That's my take on it. Let me move to Massey, because this is the Israel portion of it, because he talked about it just a little bit. Now, he's talking about his campaign in Kentucky. Now, Thomas Massey was wildly popular within the Republican Party in Kentucky. He talks about the percentages. I think he was getting like 75, 77, 81% in his primaries. And then Donald Trump brings out this guy. I think his name is Ed Gallerin. Has anybody seen Ed Gallerin speak? Ed Gallerin is a bumbling buffoon publicly. I don't know. He might have a good heart, might be a great husband, whatever. But if you see him speak publicly, he sounds like Elmer Fudd. And right now, because of all of them, you know who Elmer Fudd is, Isaiah?
Oh, yeah.
Elmer Fudd. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So he sounds like Elmer Fudd when he speaks. He is in a dead race with Thomas Massie in Kentucky, according to the polling Thomas Massie's looking at, because Donald Trump endorsed him. Remember when we had Ali on the show yesterday and she said, Rob, I think you give too much, you pay too much attention to Donald Trump. I said, no. He's not running for election again, right? So he's not running again. Now's the time to be critical, because whether you support him or don't support him, who could care? He's not running for office anymore. Now's your time to say, okay, put up or shut up. I want to see these things done. And she said, I think you're giving him too much energy and time. And I said, the reason I do that is because of the influence that he has.
Mm-hmm.
And you talked about it yesterday. If Donald Trump endorses you, you have an 8 or 9.
9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 now.
9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 chance of winning if Donald Trump endorses you, because the money follows Donald Trump. When Donald Trump endorses you, money begins to flow to you. Right. And what he tried to explain yesterday, Thomas Massie, is it's money. The guy that we had on from what was the guy's name that we had on? I can't think of it.
Aaron Baker.
Aaron Baker. We said, Aaron, how could you possibly lose to Randy Fine? Nobody likes Randy Fine. Nobody. Randy Fine doesn't like Randy Fine. Okay. And I said, how can he win? He's not popular in this area. I live in Randy Fine's district. He's not popular here at all. Zero popularity from Randy Fine. And he said, but Rob, he's going to have millions of dollars so that everybody in Volusia County is going to get a postcard in their mailbox that says Donald Trump endorses Randy Fine. And for the vast majority of people that are too busy to know what day it is because they're trying to feed their families, they got to go to work every day, they're exhausted just trying to survive in this rat race, they're going to say, Donald Trump's my president. I love Donald Trump. If he likes Randy Fine, I'm going with Randy Fine.
Yep.
That's what Donald Trump does. He tips the scales. So you better hope that he's on the right side of things. Donald Trump supporters, if it's 5D chess, explain this to me. If it's 5D chess and we have a legitimate government, how can Donald Trump endorse Ann Wagner and Randy Fine? You tell me. And Lindsey Graham.
Oh my
Explain
God.
the 5D chess of endorsing Lindsey Graham, Randy Fine, and Ann Wagner. Isaiah, do you know how that can be done?
It's
How does that turn
because of Miriam Adelson.
Yeah. How does that play into the chess match?
Oh yeah, it's just for the greater good. I promise. Trust me.
I'm not being flippant. I'm not. The problem that I have is I really want people that because there's a lot of smart people that think this is all just one big great scheme that's going on here. Like I said, the 5D chess situation. Explain to me what you see. Give me what you are confident in. What is it? What's the series? How do you see this playing out? What is the structure? What is the game? What is the strategy? Explain it to me, because if it's there, I'll explain it to the audience.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to explain that to the audience. I know a lot of people turn me off because they love Donald Trump. And if I say that I don't like something that he did, they're like, out, Rob sucks. I know that. Isaiah knows that.
Mm-hmm.
But am I going to tailor what I have to say to appease what you believe in the back of your mind, but you can't explain? Explain it to us. The Rob Show host, can you put that up for me? The Rob Show host at gmail.com.
Let's do it.
The Rob Show host at gmail.com. Say, Rob, listen, I heard you. I think you're dead wrong about our president, Donald Trump. Here's what he's actually trying to do. I hear a lot of people saying he's trying to overthrow the British crown, that this war is really, really good, that COVID was wonderful because if COVID hadn't happened, we wouldn't have been able to see what we're seeing now. All legitimate, I guess. But explain to me, send me an email and say, Rob, here's what I would like you to say about Donald Trump. Here's what I see. Here's where you're going off the rails. Here's why you're losing me. This is all of the great things that Donald Trump is going to do for this country. And when he is gone, you're going to really miss him because he was so wonderful. And if you give me good reasoning, I'll put it up on the screen. We'll discuss it. I would love it. Believe me, I want to be wrong. If loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right.
Now we're going to get taken down off YouTube.
You know that one?
No.
Come on. You don't know that song?
No.
Man, I'm getting old. Great song. Back in the day. All right. So let's go to what Thomas Massie says is really happening in Kentucky, because that's where this all started. Thomas Massie says that big Israeli money is flooding into Kentucky. It's flooding into Kentucky, and now this his primary opponent, Elmer Fudd. I'm just going to call him Elmer Fudd because that's what he reminds me of.
I like it.
Elmer Fudd is now in a dead heat with the only person that is following the Constitution consistently in Washington, D.C. You know how I know that? The John Birch Society. I'm a member of the John Birch Society, and they put out a scorecard. And I was interviewing somebody who runs a chapter here in Missouri, and I said, who is the number one person in the Republican Party that votes in alignment with the Constitution? And he didn't bat an eye for one split second. He said, well, it's Thomas Massie. So the guy that follows the Constitution the most, according to the John Birch Society, who's against communism, that's their entire operation, right? They're against tyrannical government. That's what they're telling you to look out for. So their people and their scorecard says the number one person in Washington, D.C. is Thomas Massie. And now everybody hates him, and Israeli money is flooding in for his opponent. That 5D chess again? Is that something I don't understand? And it could be. It's very possible, but as I said before, I'm not sure I can buy it. All right, let's get this in. This is Thomas Massie talking about Israeli money coming into his campaign. It's clip number 8, Isaiah, if you get that ready for us.
Ready to go.
Let it rip.
So just to frame the conversation around that idea, what was your margin of victory in the last race in Kentucky?
In the last race, primary, I got 75% of the vote. There was somebody that got 13% and somebody that got 12.
75% of the vote.
And in the race before that, I got 76%. And then the race before that, I got 81%.
81%. Now, the race with the race you get 81%, you were already having conflict with Trump at the time, right?
Yeah. At the time, he was saying to throw me out of the party. He called me a third-rate grandstander, to which I claim I'm at least second-rate.
Fair. So I'm going through this because I think it leads to today, and it makes a really interesting point. So what is the current polling in your race?
It's a single point lead for me. It's not very fluid. They've spent $10 million against me. And when I say they, I hope we get into they.
Yes.
And it's going to be close. It's just going to be, the result is going to be based on who turns out.
So it was 81% margin, 76, 75, like full on blowouts in the Republican primary in your district in Kentucky. And now it's within a couple of points and you could lose.
Correct.
And the difference is they have spent $10 million against you. So I don't think anyone would dispute that. That's the difference. The money poured into this race from outside of Kentucky is basically pushing you to the point of almost losing, and you may lose. Where'd that money come from?
Well, it didn't come from regular people. It's come from billionaires, and 95% of it, at least 95%, has come from the Israeli lobby. So I'll give you their proxies. The RJC, which is the Republican Jewish Coalition, AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, Miriam Adelson, Paul Singer, and John Paulson went together. They funded a PAC called MAGA Kentucky, which is neither MAGA nor Kentucky. But when the ad
any of them live? Who are those three people?
They have been, Miriam Adelson is the gambling magnate who's ironically makes money from the Chinese now gambling and not in Las Vegas.
And
so
she's
much.
literally an Israeli.
Yeah, she was born there.
Yep.
She's given over $200 million to the president. He puts her on the stage. He says that she's influenced his own policy and attitudes toward Israel. And so she's trying to buy a congressional seat in Kentucky, along with the rest of these groups that are probably, by the way, getting her money as well.
Interesting, right? How it's all playing out.
Wow.
Because we've been talking about this for quite some time. And then on the screen, it's the answer, old friend of mine, Mike Balzer. Hey, Mike, how are you, my friend? He said you check out your 401ks. We talked about that just a little bit just a while ago, Mike. Not denouncing the fact that the 401ks are higher, mine's higher. We talk about it all the time because I have a financial advisor who I love, who's done a terrific job for me. But you have to look at the 401k operation as though it's not everybody has a 401k that matters. You see what I'm saying? It's corporate money. If you're somebody who's in a big corporate environment and you're into these big tech companies and all this money flooding in for AI data centers, that's why the 401ks, people's 401ks are going up. You're basically saying, okay, I'm making money through corporate interest on Wall Street as they build a tech prison around me. I don't know if that makes sense if people haven't been following the show for quite some time, but that's where you're getting your big money investment into this country from. It's from around the world. As Donald Trump said, we have $17 trillion invested from around the world. Okay. This is a global scheme to entrap you in technology. That's what all of these AI data centers are all about. $500 billion investment from Larry Ellison, who said that when every man, woman, and child is surveilled every second of the day, it's going to be great. It's going to change your behavior forever. This is exactly what they say in China. It's what they say in Israel. That's what's going on in Israel right now. And all I'm saying is I see the stock market going up. We talked about it earlier at an all-time higher. It was at close of business yesterday. And I get it. I understand that point of view. But you just have to remember Wall Street is indicative of corporate interest. If you're somebody who loves corporate interest and you don't like the small guy having a chance to run a business, like think of COVID, Mike, right? If you look at COVID, they shut down all the small businesses. My business was destroyed. My shoe business career was destroyed, Mike. That's what happened to me. When they shut down, I went to work for a smaller company. Tried to build it from scratch. The owner of it gave me skin in the game. I put a couple 100,000 shoes into the market, and COVID happened, and that was the end of it. Done. Just completely shut me down. But Nike survived. Skechers survived. Adidas survived. All of the major corporations survived, but the little guys that were hanging on by a thread, gone. See you later. And that's why I say be careful with the stock market and what you wish for. Yes, the 401ks are going up, but it's basically bribing you. It's bribing you for corporate interest that's from all over the world. And what they're trying to put in to this society is a tech oligarchy, to where flock cameras, kill switches on your cars, AI data centers, they're all starting to roll out. And as Catherine Austin Fitts says, they want Donald Trump to be the president. She said it before it ever happened. They want Donald Trump to be the president in 2024. And that was at a time when everybody thought the elections were going to be stolen again. She said, no. She goes, the right would go crazy if they did this. So they're going to need their guy in there so that he can sell it to the right. Because if a lefty did it, if a Kamala Harris or a Joe Biden or a Barack Obama did it, the right would go absolutely nuts. And as so eloquently, she didn't say it, but later on in the conversation, we have all the guns. You have to pacify the people with the guns, which is the right. So you got to convince them that this is really good. And in my opinion, that's what's happening. All right, let me get Rockit Careers in here.
Let's do it.
Let's do Rockit Careers, and let's do. I was with Rich McQuay last night. I had dinner with him last night. Let's do him
Rich,
and
Rich said, "I'm too young to know that song." He said that in the chat.
Yeah, loving you is. I wish I could sing. Why can't I? And now I'm sick. I really can't. I'll do a little Barry White today with the growly voice. Where are we going? We going rocketcareers.com?
Rockit Careers, pulling it up right now. Mitch was in the chat already this morning.
ROCKIT careers.com. So he's a nationwide business. So from coast to coast, if you hate your job, if you're out of work, think rocketcareers.com. They'll help you with your resume. They'll get your elevator pitch put to bed for you. And they have connections from around the world, so around the country. So if you have, you want to be an engineer, you want to be a physician's assistant, if you want to be whatever you got, they have connections from coast to coast. They will help place you and help you launch a new career. That is for the job seekers. If you are a small to medium-sized business and human resources, they don't get it done. They put these people before you because the talent pool out there is thinning, if you understand what I'm saying. And you get these people before you and you constantly are training them. Then they leave. Then you got to retrain them again. Mitch and Brian are terrific at this. They've been doing it for a long, long time. They know how to recognize talent. They know how to put the right people within the right position. They'll put the right candidate before you so that you can improve your business and you don't have to freak out because human resources does not get the job done. Cost effective, great people. You'll have a friend. I promise you, if you're out of work looking for work, if you have a small to medium-sized business and human resources keeps putting these flubs in front of you, think rocketcareers.com, ROCKIT careers.com, ROCKIT careers.com, 636-778-2419, 636-778-2419. And then let's go to RAK. No, you want to do Rick? I can do Rick.
Just because we were talking about finances and 401k, I thought it was.
He had me on the phone last night. He's one of the reasons I'm ill. Rick? Called me on the phone last night, and I got on the phone with him for an hour, and I wasn't feeling very good when I woke up this morning. Probably a lack of sleep.
Sound like Donald Trump. It's always someone else.
Yeah. Carrington Financial, again, he's done terrific for me. I just have to go by what he did for me. We turned our money over to Rick Bavetz, and bam, within no time, our money started to grow exponentially. I think he's just a terrific guy, very bright, knows the history, knows the money, knows the currencies, knows everything that's going on in the world. He's a brilliant person. YourCaringAdvisor.com. Rick Bavetz, 314-671-0525. Financial planning expert, biblical principles with your money. Again, Carrington Financial. You can check him out online, YourCaringAdvisor.com. My man, Rick Bavetz, 314-671-0525. If you're nearing retirement, if you have money to stretch, you got to get some money out there and you got to grow it. Or if you just want to protect it, Rick Bavetz will put a plan in place for you. Listen, when it comes to financial guys, I cannot recommend anybody higher than Rick Bavetz. This guy knows everything about everything. And if you talk to him for a little bit, he will gain your confidence. Rick Bavetz, YourCaringAdvisor.com, 314-671-0525. Now let's bring in Lloyd Sloan. This is a guy that I like because he kind of goes at it like I do. He's challenging everybody to debates about the Missouri tax situation where they're trying to switch out the Missouri income tax for a sales and usage tax. And a lot of the grassroots people think this is just a con job 101. So I started paying attention to him online, on social media. And when I've heard his resume, I'm like, oh, I got to get you on. You're going to know exactly what to tell me. And I can't wait to hear it. So bring him on. Lloyd Sloan. Hey, Lloyd, center it up for me. You are a handsome character. There we go.
Oh, handsome character. Oh, my goodness. Boy, you know how to.
I gotta butter you up with this economics.
Yeah, and also you're gonna raise expectations once they actually see the video. They're gonna go, well, you just like another guy with a gray beard. That's probably what it is.
Well, I got the same gray beard. You gotta tell me what's going on with this though, because I am fascinated by it. I have, when I was at the radio station, so I was at Real Talk Radio here in St. Louis, and they were bringing in the author of the bill, Bishop Davidson, and he had a long conversation with the drive time guy, Ryan Haidt. And I remember leaving there thinking, boy, there's a lot of holes in that boat. Just from an outside person looking in, we're basically going to trust a future Congress to put these things into place. We're going to put on hold the Hancock Amendment, which says you cannot raise these sales taxes, which the Missouri Constitution protects us. They want to get a 5-year window with which to fix it. But they say, and this is what I want to hear what you have to say about it. They claim that there's all kinds of safeguards. If money goes, as you reduce the income tax, that they've got all this up and down with the money, and they're basically saying we're just going to move away from an income tax. We're not going to make any more money with it. It's going to move to usage taxes. You'll have the ability to determine where you're going to spend your taxes. This is their pitch. What say you?
Well, first of all, this is how I know you're not a billionaire, because you saw holes in this thing, okay? Because I'm tell you, the billionaires are just salivating over it. That's for sure.
Not for the poor people, that's for sure.
It is a bait and switch scheme. That's probably the best way to understand it. They are promising to reduce the income tax, even abolish it. So they want us to have zero income tax in Missouri. And that's the bait, all right? What's the switch? They're going to triple sales taxes, more than triple sales taxes in Missouri. That's the only way you can make it balance. Let me give you the quick argument there, because it's important. They will lie about this, and they obviously are going to hide it. Sales taxes right now in Missouri are annually roughly $3.1 billion. I think that's what it was in the 2025 budget. The income tax is at $8.3 billion. So you do the math, you add $8.3 billion to the current sales tax, you got to get to $11 billion to make up those revenues. That's more than tripling the sales tax, actually 3.7 times the current sales tax. That's bottom line, and that's the bait and switch. Some people will gain, right, because you're abolishing the income tax, and people at the top will gain, and everybody else is going to lose. All right. And this is a tax. I mean, what does it say about a political party that's willing to do a tax increase on over half the state in order that, and particularly the wealthiest, will gain considerably? And that's the key. That's one of the key questions that you're going to want to ask, right?
Where do you think this originates from?
I think, well,
people that run the state, I think you're aware of that. Who is originating this scheme here? Because they keep saying it's going to be growth and the businesses are going to flock in here. That's their argument.
Correct. I hear the argument. Okay, let me address the growth first, because I think that's somewhat misleading. It is true. My degree is in economics. I didn't pursue that as a profession, but all the studies show that the start fundamentals, all taxes have a negative impact on growth. There are very few exceptions to that, very few. But for the most part, any tax is going to cause you to get less of whatever you tax, right? Income taxes have the most negative impact on growth. So of the taxes, if you rank them, income, sales, property. If you want the most growth, what you would be doing is getting rid of income and sales taxes and be left with a property tax. And that would give you the highest growth potential just based on the method of taxation. These are not major shifts, incidentally. They oversell this, because you think you're going to get growth by tripling sales taxes, you're going to get the Kansas mess. And they really do overestimate the amount of growth that they would get. Understand that while Missouri is behind in growth, we're sluggish in this state, I think we're 30th or something in growth in the country. So there's a lot of states ahead of us. Half of those states have an income tax higher than Missouri's income tax. So how come they're outgrowing Missouri? It's a lot more complicated. If you really want to know, in my opinion, what causes Missouri to be so sluggish, it's our investment tax credits. These things are a disaster in Missouri. We're one of the worst states in the country. They are crony capitalism. They are favors to a certain, privileged, influential, well-connected group, and they get a tax credit. And it's malinvestment, meaning these are not good investments. They're bad investments. They wouldn't be able to make. They would never be done if you got rid of the tax credit, because they don't make enough to justify it. And you don't want to be pumping money into that stuff. If you get rid of that, you would help your growth rates in Missouri, and Republicans won't touch it. So does that answer your question? That answers the growth. You said, what does this originate from?
Yeah, generally speaking, like when there's an originator, there's somebody who wants to get this done. They start to lobby Mike Kehoe or the powerful people in the state of Missouri, and then it filters down into the legislator, and they appease their masters, and then it all comes to shape, and then they have their people that go out and sell it. That's kind of the formula that I've been watching.
For sure, if Kehoe's involved, there's a big donor telling him to do it. This we know about Kehoe for sure. But the truth is, the Republican Party has been on this agenda for decades of trying to replace the income tax with sales taxes. You hear it from Trump. What does he say? I love tariffs. Tariff's a beautiful word. Tariff's just another sales tax. It's a sales tax on foreign goods. Sales taxes are fundamentally regressive. What does that mean? It means that it hurts the poor more than the rich. As a percentage of income, poor people pay a much higher percentage of their income on sales taxes than do rich people. Bill Gates couldn't care less about sales taxes. He doesn't care what the sales tax at Walmart is. It means nothing to him. Income taxes he cares about. Capital gains taxes he cares about, but not the tax on a cheeseburger at McDonald's. He couldn't care less about that. But poor people care. And I say poor, I'm including middle class in that. Right. Middle class cares about these taxes too. And Republicans, for whatever reason, and it's probably smelly reasons, I hate to say it, but a lot of conservatives are elitist. They think like aristocrats, and they want to do favors for the rich. They think that's the key to success. This has been part of, I was a Reagan supporter way back when, but I do acknowledge now, and Reagan was in a different environment than we face today. Please get into the weeds here and really look at the details. At the time Reagan is cutting taxes for the top, those taxes were over 50% in the federal income tax. That's a Laffer curve effect, which we've all heard. Economists, you've heard of Laffer curve. There does get to be a point in taxation where you get such a high rate that it's counterproductive. You tax people at 80%. Well, don't be surprised they quit making the money and they just give up, and you don't get the revenues you thought.
Right.
But what Missouri's tax rate on income is 4.7%. That's at the top end. That's the top. You're not going to get a Laffer effect from 4.7%, guys. That's not where it's going to come from. You need to be up around 50% rates in order to get a Laffer effect. So all this growth they're projecting is just more empty promises. What I have discovered is that if they will never mention, never even concede that they are tripling sales taxes in Missouri.
Can I walk through that real fast? Because you're smart.
It's an important point. Yeah,
you're smart and I'm not. And I think that my audience is probably more like me, right? We're smart in certain things. When it comes to math, we kind of get shaky a little bit. I want to explain exactly how you said it to me. And I want to make sure I got it right, because as I start talking about it in the future, I want to make sure that I got this right. So you're saying that if you add these taxes together, 3.1 billion and 8.3 billion,
3.3, correct.
Okay. So if you add those together, that's $11.4 billion. That's the nut that they got to get to, $11.4 billion.
Correct.
And you're saying right now that they bring in $3.1 billion from sales and usage taxes. So we got to get from 3.1 billion to $11.4 billion. And your math is correct, 3.7 times, right? So you're going to have $3.1 billion in tax income all the way to $11.4 billion. And that gap now is not going to come from income. It's going to come
from
from
sales.
sales. Now, what they say, and you just tell me where I got this off, because this is not my
No,
expertise.
go ahead. Ask your hardest question. Yeah.
No, I failed algebra. It was horrible, right? So
this is technically fourth grade arithmetic. All right.
That's what I'm afraid of. I don't want to
Forget
embarrass
algebra. Yeah, it's not algebra.
and I was running a business. So you got to go. So they keep saying that as they raise the sales income tax, it lowers the sales tax, it lowers the income tax, and there's not going to be any extra income coming in. That's the argument that they make. You say that's just a flat out lie, because that's what they say.
They're just being sneaky, but that's true. If I cut $1 billion off the income tax and I add $1 billion in sales tax, I technically have not increased the overall taxation. Now, actually, there's some wiggle room there too, but I'm just going to ignore that. But they do say they can increase it by the amount of nominal GDP growth or something like that. And let's just ignore that for the time being. But that actually gives them even more of a tax increase they normally get. All right. That claim just tells me they are revenue neutral. So they'll say revenue neutral.
Right.
And that just means we're going to offset the income tax cut with an increase in sales taxes. And then when you ask them, how much increase is that going to be? That's when the bait and switch starts to break down.
Well, that was my argument.
It's more than tripling. It's more than tripling the sales tax.
My argument was, why are you taking this to the voters? If you want to cut income tax, you have the ability to do that. Why are you taking this to the voters without a clear dot by dot by dot by dot? This is exactly what is going to happen. What they're basically saying is, we want the voter to give a future Congress the ability to play with it to get it to where they want. And I thought to myself, that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because if you look back to the Republican Party, it was Mike Kehoe who was involved with the gasoline tax. It was Mike Kehoe that said, we're going to give tax breaks to the Royals and the Chiefs, right? They had a multi-subject bill. Everybody goes, yeah, but you're going to get some property tax evaluations or this and that. So, well, that makes it multi-subject. They took it to the courts. The Chiefs and the Royals get their tax incentives, and everybody that was voting for it, well, it was just a cover, right, for the politicians to vote for it. And everything that you thought was going to be the good part, they took out, which is exactly what we talked about for months leading up to it. So you haven't earned the trust, in my opinion. That's my problem with it. And I'm not saying that I don't know enough about it, but they haven't earned the trust to give them a 5-year window based on their past history.
They definitely are not trustworthy. Okay. They're not telling you the truth about how much they're increasing sales taxes. Fundamentally, they're not telling the truth. They're not telling the truth as to why we must vote on this either. Why are we voting on it? You can cut. Last year, they abolished the income tax on capital gains in 2025. They didn't need us to vote on that. They just did it. So why do we vote this time? Because the Missouri Constitution limits the amount of sales taxes. That's in there. And it's passed twice in Missouri, overwhelmingly, incidentally. People voted overwhelmingly to limit these taxes. They want those limits removed. And that requires a constitutional amendment and a vote of the people. So that's why, otherwise we wouldn't have to vote on this at all. They want there is no way a small government person should be voting to remove tax limitations, period. You don't do that if what you want is smaller government. You keep those limitations in there. They do a good job. And you can interrupt me anytime, because I'll just
I'm on. Very curious about this, because I've been watching this from the beginning.
I think the one you asked me the origin. I think there is a bias in conservatives for regressive taxation, and that's kind of ugly. And I hesitate to say, I used to call myself a conservative, but I do see it now in the conservative movement, a bias towards removing taxes from the top and sticking it on the bottom. The other thing that's going on, though, which I give them credit for one thing, and that is for having some vision. You need vision. What is it? Where there is no vision, the people perish. And that's straight out of the Bible. And FDR quoted it, and Clinton quoted it. And so it's important. And the vision that we have at No Mo Sales Tax, okay, is to abolish the sales taxes first, to do the exact opposite of what the Republican Party has been pushing since the fair tax stuff, honestly. And that for 20 years plus, we need to get rid of the regressive taxation first. We have welfare state problems in this society. So we getting deep into the weeds here, but it makes no sense to me whatsoever, none, to be taxing people just so you can give them their own money back. It only makes sense if you hate freedom, I guess, and you love collectivism. Then you see society as this giant government collective, and government takes in all the money and then gives back what's fair. Then it would make sense to you to do that. But to a person who likes freedom, no, you got to tax people and then hand them back their own money. Just don't tax them at all.
Right.
So fundamentally, if you want to shrink government, you got to get rid of these regressive taxes first. Otherwise, you're constantly going to have a demand for government just in the basic morality of, are we really going to let people starve to death in this society that has this much money? No, we're not. Right. So you're going to have some, I have made my peace and I realize there's going to be some welfare state. I won't get into those weeds right now either, but the reality is,
right. And there is a society, we have to take care of certain people. But I don't think it needs to be $50 billion in order in the state of Missouri. I got a quick question for you because you mentioned Kansas.
yes,
So
I did.
one of the arguments that I hear that agree with you, they're saying, well, if you raise these sales taxes and usage taxes, aren't people that live, because we're the heart of the country. We got border everywhere, right? You're going to go to Kansas, you're going to go to Illinois, you're going to go to Arkansas. If you're buying anything of value where you're going to pay a higher tax, you'll just cross the border and buy it in somebody else's state. Is that an argument that you see as truthful?
Oh, yeah. It's part of the vision for abolishing sales taxes. I mean, think about growth and then realize if we abolish sales taxes in Missouri, we've got our two largest cities right there on a border with other states. So both St. Louis and Kansas City would boom. Businesses in St. Louis and Kansas City are going to boom because they don't have a sales tax. And Illinois got a 6.5% sales tax right across the river from me. Guess you can shut down every single car dealership in Collinsville, Illinois at that point. They ain't going to survive. People are going to cross the river and buy the cars in Missouri. Why don't they have that kind of vision to realize the growth potential for Missouri businesses, particularly those that border these other states, if we just abolished our sales taxes? 5 states don't have sales taxes. They do just fine. They do. Montana's one of them, and they outgrow Missouri. They're one of the big growth states in the country. I wouldn't claim it's all coming from sales taxes. That's not true. You mentioned the Kansas example. Brownback went through this Reagan supply side type stuff. He was going to cut the income tax. Oh my goodness, Kansas is going to grow. We're going to boom. We'll pay for it that way. He learned the hard way. No, it doesn't work like that, man. Kansas government, when they were close to bankrupt, they had to reverse what they were doing. And guess what? Kansas now outgrows Missouri. So it's not based on that sort of thing. You got to look deeper. There's more to it, blah, blah. And quit lying to people. Tell them that what you're really doing is it's a tax shift. It's a shifting of taxes from the top to the bottom. And that's what they want to tax services. That's one of the things too. You got to realize they're going to say, we're not going to triple that tax rate. No, it's not the rate. It's the amount of things that they tax. So right now, daycare centers, for example, they would not have a sales tax on them. But they're going to put a sales tax on them. So they're just going to increase. They're going to have to triple the number of things that they tax, I guess. And if they want to keep the rate the same, and otherwise it'll be some combination. And the truth is it will be a lobbyist orgy party, right? Because they're all going to lobby Kehoe, and Kehoe's going to say, well, it's pay to play around here. So how much money are you going to give me so that I don't tax you as much as the other guy? Got a lot of lobbyists. You'll do fine, and otherwise, no, you're going to see a sales tax on you. Your business will shrink some on that basis, etc. Okay.
Didn't the Missouri auditor say didn't the Missouri auditor Fitzpatrick, I think it is, said that this was going to be a real problem unless everybody was basically everybody's going to take these sales, because everybody's talking about the carve outs for real estate, carve outs for this, carve outs for that. And he said, well, it doesn't balance. But in order for this to work, there's going to be very few carve outs.
Yeah, I believe he did say that. I'm learning something from you right now because I don't remember the exact quote now, but I do vaguely recall him saying that. Yes, and he's obviously right. The more carve outs you give, the more the rate has to go up, right? So that's, and then it's just why you claim, one thing they are not going to put a sales tax on. Let me tell you this right now. There will not be a sales tax on the stocks and bonds. Guess why? Okay. We don't even talk about this sort of thing, but guess who buys stocks and bonds? Rich people.
Not poor people.
Not poor people.
Not
And
poor
and
people.
if you even mention that, say, we should put a sales tax on stocks and bonds. That's only fair. Oh, wow. Watch it crash and burn if they even get close to that. What's to prevent Democrats from doing that down the road? You just removed all the restrictions. Apparently Republicans think they're going to be elected till Jesus comes back. No, you're not. Okay. So eventually this pendulum will swing, even in Missouri. I watched it swing once in my lifetime the other way. So it can swing back, especially when you do stuff like this. Go ahead and ask your next question.
Lloyd Sloan, no more sales tax. And you established in 2013, I think you said. Degree in economics from Harvard. So we're not talking to somebody who doesn't understand what's going on here. You've tried to get people to debate you. This is what we do, by the way. The reason I think you wanted to debate Ben Brown. We know Ben Brown, and I said
I would love to debate Ben Brown. Sure.
Why this is something that I really there's one guy that seems to want to debate. He'll have the public conversations. He's Mike Koslow, and I think Mike Koslow is for this tax incentive, and Ben Keithley is very for this tax restructuring bill. I happen to like these people. I don't agree with them necessarily on everything that they do, but they will have the conversation with you. I'll try to set that up. I'd be curious to see,
Sure.
a degree from Harvard in economics. I want to see how that conversation plays out, because these people are selling it. They're going out and selling it right now. And I want to see how that conversation plays out. So I'll try to set that up for you.
That'd be great.
I'm going to try and get that done for you. I promise. I told you I would on the social media before I even knew that you had a degree in economics from Harvard, because that gives you credibility right away to say, look, I'm not the novice who's coming off the top of my head because I don't like the Republican Party. I'm saying that I have facts.
You may force me to go back and look at some old textbooks, but yes,
bring it on.
Yeah. I was in graduate level classes, at least a couple of them there. So yeah, at one time I had real good knowledge of economics. And I still have a pretty good, but I didn't pursue it as a career. I went into actuarial stuff and also computers. So, but my math skills are very good.
Okay. I got to ask you this. This is a little bit off the reservation, but it's something I've been paying attention to. As you watch what's happening in this country, do you see, or do you have a sense, and this is not on the same topic, so I'm going to give you a second to think about it. If you don't know the answer, just tell me, Rob, leave me alone. But I see digital currency beginning to develop in this country. I see a lot of conversation about it. I think it's ultimately going to happen because of just the processes that they're using to change over our economy. It looks to me like they want to go to a cashless society. Do you think this is going to happen? Do you see the structure?
I sure hope it does not.
No, it'll be a disaster.
Yeah, of course, you got Bitcoin, and that originated, as the promise to replace government currency type stuff. And my thought was always, well, we already have a replacement if you really want one. It's called gold and silver. Right. It's been out here forever. It's actually tangible. It's easy to understand. I've never had anybody. I'm a reasonably smart guy, and I've never understood Bitcoin. Okay, and they talk about blockchains and all. And there's an adage in investment. I think Warren Buffett may have said it. Don't ever invest in anything you don't understand. Right. It's very likely a con. We've seen, and I don't want to knock people who they just really sell this cryptocurrency. There's some real risks in doing this if the government takes it over. Guarantee you. They control then everything you buy and sell even worse than they do now.
And there's no chance the government won't take it over, in my opinion. There's just no
I agree. Yeah.
Understanding how the government works, they're not going to allow you to trade currency without their fingers on it.
Back to gold and silver, guys. I mean, come on. That's the only way. You have to have a physical, tangible. We know what causes inflation. So we start talking about that too. Inflation is caused by money printing. There's no such thing in human history. Very rare to see a inflation sustained like this without paper money or without expansion of currency. I'll say there was an inflation in Spain in the 1500s. As a result of all the gold they were bringing back from the New World. So gold is not a guarantee. If you increase the amount of gold, you're going to get inflation there too, right? Because it's just the currency is growing and what follows is inflation. And that's what's causing ours. You get into the Federal Reserve, people's eyes glaze over.
That was my next question, because I only got a few more minutes with you.
Okay.
What do you think of the Federal Reserve? This is something that I don't understand. You know, it seems like the whole world went a little bit crazy when we got into the Federal Reserve, and you know, central banks is something that this country pushed back against. And then when it came into effect, it's basically been that way ever since. And I don't understand why we borrow money from a third party. It can't be constitutional. It doesn't make any sense to me. And yet you really don't hear politicians push it very much to get rid of the central banking system and, you know, interest-free money for our own people. Why are we paying interest on our own money? It never made any sense to me.
Well, consider who gets that interest, and then it'll make more sense. But the Federal Reserve they are the cause of inflation for the most part. And they are a significant driver of the wealth inequality that we see in this society, too. This money goes to privileged people. It doesn't go to the average person. It goes to very wealthy bankers and other people that are well connected. They see the money first. And we ignore this. I mean, Bernie Sanders, you'd think he'd be railing against the Federal Reserve. For most of American history, not for most American history, but in early American history, from the first Washington administration up through Woodrow Wilson, the banking issue was a serious issue. And Andrew Jackson ran on this issue. It was a very populist, whatever. It was again, a haves versus have-nots issue. Right. And it was William Jennings Bryan ran against this. If you remember his famous "You shall not cross a gold" speech, right? This is in the 1890s. So we have argued about this national bank throughout our history up until this lousy Federal Reserve. And now it's sacred and no one's allowed to question it. And I think that's a huge mistake. We definitely should be controlling this thing. It needs to be more transparent. I'm uncomfortable with the power that it has. I'm not necessarily saying abolish it, but by God, you need an audit. You need transparency. And frankly, so I'm not a fan of the Federal Reserve. I'll give you a quote from Milton Friedman. This will summarize it. Friedman, during the Reagan era, when Paul Volcker was the chairman of the Fed, and he kind of brought the inflation down we had under Carter, Friedman was asked, "Don't you agree that Paul Volcker's doing a good job?" And Friedman answers, "It's not whether Volcker is doing a good job. It's whether or not Volcker's job is a good one."
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. As usual, Uncle Milty pegs it, right? He gets it right 99 times out of 100, for sure. So.
All right. Lloyd Sloan, No More Sales Tax. You're the founder of it. Where do they find you? If somebody wants to look up your work or follow you, where do they go?
Right now, if you got Facebook, that's probably the quickest way to find No More Sales Tax. That's where we're most prominent. I'm also there. You can contact me that way. They're welcome to contact me through your show, too. I don't know if I don't give out my phone number, but I guess I do have a website, LloydSloan.com, so they could go there, and I think that's got the contact information, too.
All right, I'm gonna reach out to you because some of these people that are pushing this bill, I'm friendly with, and I would like to see a debate. I think it's if you're going to change the tax code around and you're going to upend the Constitution for 5 years, the least these people can do is talk to somebody with a degree from Harvard who doesn't like the situation at all and have a conversation with them publicly, so we can all we can we can vote on it without all the propaganda. We can actually get an understanding of it.
Permit me to say that. Yeah, I don't usually tell people about that degree, okay, because it doesn't always end in a positive note. But I understand better why you hate Harvard than you do, because I've been there. And I have seen, and it is a great institution. I am saddened by some of the developments that I see there now, honestly. Yeah, I mean, this is a long-standing, the oldest university in the country. It's one of the top universities in the world. And it's sad to see some of the things I see now coming out of Harvard. And Harvard should be, whatever.
Overly political, to say the least.
Go Harvard, beat Yale, and all that good stuff. That's all.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to be in touch with you. I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you spending the time.
Anytime, Rob. Seriously.
Lloyd Sloan. We'll be in touch with you, my friend. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. We learn. I guess next, do we have Amy and Mike on for Act 4 Missouri? These people are getting very popular all of a sudden. Check these two.
Oh, wow.
You got
the Jefferson Tribune and everything, right?
Well, I love it. I love it because I want to see people that put the time and energy into make a difference. It's starting to happen for Mike and Amy. They put out a video just recently, and it was very, I guess the best way to describe it, it was symptomatic of things that make us all crazy within the grassroots, and everybody got to see it right there on video. Then you have David Wassinger, the lieutenant governor. He was complaining about it. There was a big article written about it yesterday, all because of Act for Missouri and Amy Castro and Mike Compton. Welcome to the show, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning. There they are.
There we are.
All right. I was reading.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Those Wednesdays are long days. I was talking to Mike about that. We get on the road by 6 a.m. and we got home. I mean, I was in the door by maybe after 11.
I'm telling you. And did you guys get sick when you travel like this? I was saying, I said earlier, I'm miserable right now. And I think it's because came in from Florida, Isaiah and I got a million things to do. And I'm running down. I'm just going. And
you're switching pollen, Florida pollen, Missouri pollen,
and
allergens.
He doesn't drink as much coffee as me either.
I got the pounding headache going on today. I'm suffering through. I'm suffering because I want to hear from you guys now. You can talk about whatever you want, but I do want to hear about this 32 subject bill that you said. So for the people that don't know what goes on in Missouri politics, in our Constitution, it is supposed to be single subject bills. I like Bryant Wolf, and I don't know how you guys feel about Bryant Wolf, but I'm a big fan of his. And he said, Rob, they don't really care about single subject bills. They're always throwing it in there. And they just said, let the courts figure it out. I'm like, well, they don't follow the Constitution. He goes, no, I don't care about the Constitution. I said, well, isn't that interesting? You make an oath to the Constitution and then you just shred it out. We'll let the courts figure it out. If somebody wants to sue us, we have more money than them. We'll take them to court. We'll bleed them dry and we'll get whatever we want. I guess that's the new strategy. What is going on with this 32 subject crazy bill?
Monday we declared that omnibus season is open. So it's actually been open all session this year, but it's truly open now.
Let it rip.
They all know it, and they're one of the most disgusting displays I've seen watching the Missouri House on Tuesday was this bill, and it was, let me make sure I give all the right information here. It was Senate Bill 1421, and the House took it up. And so this bill started out, the title of this bill was relating to the unlawful use of unmanned aircraft in certain areas. And so the idea that this bill was for drones not to be flown over sporting events, and especially with the World Cup coming up. And so that's actually a very specific title for what we normally get. So the started out right. It was like 5-page bill, pretty simple. Well, we're still trying to confirm this, but one of my thoughts was that, well, maybe they need this language in law to get federal money to help for the security for the World Cup, because it does have an emergency clause that they put in it, which means that as soon as the governor signs it, it comes into effect. So that being said, that's kind of my working theory as to why what I witnessed on Tuesday happened. So
can we show people what you're talking about? What you're talking about? If you don't mind, Isaiah, where is it? What do I do with my paperwork? Oh, it's Act for Missouri.
Number 6.
We did post that.
Where is it?
Number 6, right? This.
Yeah, but why can't I find it on my paper? It just drives me crazy.
Is this it on the
this is actually a different bill. So
this is another one.
This is the healthcare one.
The right one.
But I think this example's even
Good Lord,
more pertinent to what we're
Did you just say good Lord?
Yes. What fascinates me that they what fascinates me about it is, there's several people that go, don't say they're good people. They're not good people. If they're doing this to you, they're not good people. And I just think they're kind of trapped in a bad system. But I got people that get very upset with me when I say that. And then I see these kind of things and I think, what kind of public servant would just completely ignore the Missouri Constitution just to take it out of context and just do whatever you want? It's just like they think that they're smarter than everybody, it seems to me. And it just bothers me when I see these kind of things.
I think it's just been allowed to go on for so long, and no one's ever really called them out like people are doing now, that we've got an awareness. It's unconstitutional. People are mentioning it. I think up to this point, it's just something you came in, they told you this is how it's done, and you go, oh, okay, without much thought. now it's a pattern, and so we're interrupting this pattern, and that's why we see all the pushback and everyone's like, you're interrupting, what we normally do. So
if groups like us and the Shield Maidens and your group, Rob, don't point this out, where would they ever hear it? They're not going to, these guys aren't going to come back to your Lincoln days and your 4th of July picnics and tell you, hey, guess what we did,
Yes. And then, well, that's the other thing is, I promote you guys because I don't think I can't get it done without you guys. We talked about it when I first started my organization. I said, I don't have the ability to go down there and research and do this. I don't even know that I could, even if I wanted to. I don't know if I have the brain power to do that.
Well, seriously. Let me tell you, brain power is a real question. And it's so funny. I got to tell you something really got to say, but so we were posting, we're bantering back on social media. And somebody's like, well, you're not transparent. You don't even have your bios on your website. And you know what? I thought, why? First of all, it's not about me. And what do you want me to put down there? Taxpayer, wife,
citizen,
cat owner, citizen. I don't have a PhD. So this is out there to all of you who think that you can't push or demand or get involved because, well, you don't have a degree or you don't understand. Don't buy that.
Yeah. Well, they try to diminish you. It's been
of course.
I saw that. I thought it was funny, Amy. I thought that was hilarious when they
Wasn't that crazy?
Who cares?
Right? Like it matters. Like, oh, I don't have a right to speak or I don't have a right to question. I thought,
that's what people said to me.
What a pompous, what statement, right?
Yeah, that's what people said to me during my campaign because I'm an entrepreneur and I've run businesses and I started businesses, but they're like, you don't have a business degree.
Oh, well, let me tell you.
Okay.
I've met some people with business degrees that can't sell their.
I hired people with MBAs.
Right.
You realize I'm kind of in the same boat. I think I'm a street smart person, right?
Yeah.
You just kind of recognize patterns and you go, okay, well, this is what's happening here. Now I get a gist of what's going down. But there are a lot of people that think you have to have 7 degrees on your wall to have an opinion. And I'm with you. You just have to be interested. You have to pay attention. You bring the information out to everybody in Missouri. And I think you're like me. You bring the information out, you give your opinion on it, but you're like, do whatever you want with it. You're not we're down here. We're watching how these people react. We're watching what they do.
Yep.
And we're a service to the people of Missouri. If you want to know what's going on in your government, you want to know who you're paying the taxes to, you want to know how your streets are being run, you want to know what's going down in the state of Missouri, we're going to give you that information. We're going to put it on our web. And I love your website. I tell every time I talk to you, I just love your website. And the people can make decisions the way they want to make decisions. It's that simple.
And it's the same way with the elected. If we go and have a conversation with a senator or a representative, we never tell them how to vote. We tell them what we have researched, what we think, what our concerns are. And then if they even say, well, I'm not sure how to vote on this, we are silent. That is not our job. That's their job.
I like that. And I saw, I guess one of the minuscule good things that came out of this budget, at least the way I'm understanding it, is they did cut some money out of the budget. That's what they're saying. I don't know if that's true, but I heard several of these Republican senators saying, we cut. See, am I wrong?
Rob,
all right.
Come on. Optimistic. Bless his heart. He's like, of course they did the right thing. Of course they did.
They said that for the first time in forever, they cut the budget a little bit, and then I saw conflicting information. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what to believe anymore. They're telling me they cut the budget, and other people are saying he didn't cut the budget.
Well, the total number I heard was $50.7 billion, which is about where we ended up at this point last year, and then they added $3.3 billion at the start of this session to supplement it to get them through to the end of the year. So. The final number we can't really say until we see what they do at the start of next session. If they bring in another supplemental, we did hear that they used up the last of the surplus that Missouri had. So where the auditor was thinking we could make it through 2028, well, no,
apparently not.
They went ahead and used it because they needed it.
Was there any talk at all? Because this is just something that I'm curious about. Was there any talk at all about the elections? This is one thing that just drives me crazy is I can't say that Missouri elections are being manipulated. I can't say that because I don't understand the way they run the elections in the state of Missouri, and I would like to understand how they run them. And it's just a big push for me because when you see these things that are going wrong, I played a clip earlier where Shannon Joy said, how can Donald Trump not be concerned about the midterms? He's got, according to even the conservative pollsters, he's got a 23% approval rating with independents. So you would think that if you're going to turn over the House and the Senate at this time, you'd be freaking out about it, or at least be, trying to figure something out that would raise your approval ratings. Doesn't seem like they care. And I say the same thing about the people that are running the show down in Jefferson City. We point out all of these things. They don't seem to really care at all.
Well, I will say, we were hopeful at the start of the session. Ben Brown had a hand counting bill. I don't believe it even got a hearing in the Senate. So it was great. He filed the bill, but there was no interest in them ever.
Well, here's where I'm at, and I'm kind of this conspiracy theorist. What if both sides want the elections to be like this?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I agree
Because,
with.
for example, that video that we did, right?
Yep.
So all the righteous Dems that get on our page and they say, vote blue, vote blue. Okay, vote blue. Well, guess what? There were Democrats that also left the floor and didn't take that vote for cameras.
Right.
So they don't want, and their big dollar donors don't want the same thing that the Republican big dollars want. And that just, I get so mad with that. Cause I'm like, if you sit here and you think your side is better than the other side, you are sadly mistaken.
Well, that you're making my argument that I make when I talk to these Republicans. I say, listen, I want the elections. I want you guys to make hay with the elections, and not just in Missouri, but around the country. Florida has the same issue. And I say the reason it feels like it's a one-party system controlled by money is if you have all these grassroots organizations that do have a following. I mean, we have followings. People pay attention to what we say. We create a lot of controversy online. We were constantly challenging these people. They snap back at you all the time because they're upset. I said, if I'm a Democrat and I see this kind of break within the Republican grassroots and the establishment in the Republican Party, I'm going to wedge myself right in the middle of that and take the side of the grassroots who are always getting beat up and say, yeah, we should have, if the Republicans are running everything, we agree with the grassroots, these elections are being manipulated, and the Democrats would kind of latch onto that idea and push the story to get the elections, like I said, hand counted, paper ballots, state holiday, video surveillance of going in and out. So you know how many, if there's 75 people that go into a polling place and there's 90 votes, well, then we know we have a problem. Nice and simple. It's not like you don't know who anybody voted for. You're not infringing on anybody's rights, but it gives you a sense of what is happening within the election system. But the Democrats don't take it up. And I've talked to the Democrats about it too. They don't take it up either. So it makes me wonder, is it just big money and they have control of the elections? They're going to get their tax bill passed. They're going to get whatever they want passed when it goes to the ballots because it's being manipulated in certain counties.
It seems like the big stuff that gets done at Jeff City gets done with the support of both parties. And
and I guess you have to put on that discussion, there's always the term bipartisan or work across the aisle. And I suppose to some degree, we all coexist together, and so we have to do that. But when you see it in such excess, and then what they're passing doesn't seem doesn't seem like good policy, then it starts to make you question what's going on, what's really going on.
That's another question. I want to get to your. We're going to play that post that you put out there, but it feels like what we're trying to do. You, me, Shield Mains. There's a few of us. I like Unite for Freedom. There's a few grassroots that I really like. What we're trying to do is accomplish what they say that they want to get done.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part about it. What they say that they want to get done, we agree. And then when they don't do it and we point it out, they say we just don't understand the system, I guess. We're wrong. We didn't read the information correctly. And it's just, and I'm like, it's deflating because a lot of these people and you want to love them. You'd like to like these people and you like to say, okay, you're doing the right thing. But it's just hard for me to get there when they double the budget, right? They pass bills that we know are not single subject. They pass bills that we know are going to get, they should be anyway, get shot down by the Supreme Court. They do these things over and over again, and they get more and more upset with us for pointing it out. And it makes me wonder what the agenda is, or if there's an agenda at all, if it's just top down. Mike Kehoe sets the precedent, or Cindy O'Loughlin, or John Patterson, they set the agenda, and then the people go to work to get it figured out, which is
I think there's a little bit of that. I think there's quite a bit.
You showed it in your video, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the final count on whether we were going to have transparency in the Senate with the live stream video, the score was 12-11.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And as you get to watch 2 or 3 people get up to make sure the score was 12-11.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not much else to add to that.
I mean,
You agree to it. You
that's where
agree
we're
to
at.
a degree. You agree to a degree. Let's look at this post that you put up because I thought it was really good, especially if you're a Missouri voter and you see these things kind of go down. How many people you think know anything about the Missouri government, though? Do you guys, when you guys tell people what you do, you know, and you're around friends, family, or you might meet people at dinner or a store or something, how many people have any understanding of Missouri politics? Before I got into radio, I didn't have a clue what was going on in Jefferson City, just on total cruise
Not
control.
much, but we are seeing that people are realizing that there's something wrong. They just don't understand enough to know
what to do,
where the issue's at. And of course, all the news media that people get is about the federal government. Your
Yes.
papers focus on the federal government. There's very little focus on what's going on in the state. And so that's one thing that we realize. But when we explain to people, you know, what a single subject bill, you know, our Constitution, the people that framed the Missouri Constitution actually gave us a good foundation to build on. The problem is we've ignored it. And fortunately, it looks like we might have a Supreme Court right now. You know, they're starting to throw some of these out. Of course, they have to be challenged, which is the key. And that's what I think our legislatures count on, is that nobody's going to spend the money to go and do it. Well, there are some groups that are spending the money, and on some conservative groups that are spending the money to challenge these now too.
I'd be curious the law firms, because I just want to plant something in your head to see if it plays with you. Remember when we had that, I think it was some form of bill to protect kids, and she came on my show and she said, you know, they need to clean up the language here, because theoretically, if they don't clean up the language, you could say that somebody who didn't get their kids vaccinated are harming their kids, and they just need to fix that legislation. Well, they didn't want to fix that They didn't want to fix the wording, and they had a couple opportunities to do it with no harm, no foul, and they just didn't want to do it. And I said to myself, well, why would you not want to do that? You know, I know Nick Schroer. I worked with him. Nick Schroer does not believe in, you know, we've talked about it. He doesn't believe that kids should be vaccinated for forced vaccinations, because we had conversations before. But he also is an attorney, and he might like the idea that language is open, because if it ever comes down the pipe, now you got the attorneys to get involved, and now you make a bunch of money fighting the Missouri government, right? The law firms take it on. It would be great for trial attorneys, right? And I thought, well, maybe that's the reason. Maybe they like to leave this language just a little bit in limbo, because if anybody ever suing is good for trial attorneys. They like lawsuits. That really works well to their benefit. And it's the only reason I could come up with, because I did not see Nick as somebody who thinks that we should be mandating by force children. That's not where he's coming from. And yet they did not want to clean up that language at all. I think he bites at that apple, and neither time did they want to fix it.
Yeah. And that's the kind of thing that sets off flags in our heads whenever we see that, because that seemed like such a common sense fix too. And it didn't change the purpose of the bill. It didn't change anything really fundamentally about the bill. It just added some clarification to protect parents. And
right. Because you don't know how it's going to come down. We got this Hantavirus, right? So they got the Hantavirus coming out, right? And they're going to scare people to death. They're already starting that campaign. And you know, when people get scared, they get crazy. We saw it during COVID, and here you could have the same situation here. You're not going to get your kids the Hantavirus vaccine. What are you, crazy? I can't send my kids to school with you. And then all of a sudden, the parents are on their heels, going, "I guess I got to get the Hantavirus vaccine or genetic therapy or whatever." You kind of see it start to develop. And if it doesn't happen with this one, what's going to happen 5 years? Because we already got past COVID, like it never happened. Everybody acts like it was just, you know, a figment.
You know, that's a theory. And then I think another, that as I'm sitting here thinking about this, I do know with some of the bills, like the AI bills that came in, the White House actually reached out to the senator. So there's a possibility that the federal reached out to Schroer. I'm just speculating, okay? I have no evidence for this. And I want to be very clear to everybody.
Yep.
That, you know, they said, you need to keep that, you know, we want that in there. I mean, it's hard to know exactly how much our New World Order government controls the state.
If you talk to somebody who's been doing this even longer than us, like Lisa Panett, she's learned to realize that next year's bills build on this year's bills, and they just they don't always go for the whole thing that they're wanting in one piece.
Right.
They're just putting little pieces in here and there that eventually you can start to see the shape of the puzzle that's coming together. And so
that's another question you lead me to, because we talked about it a little bit yesterday with one of our guests. What is your take now on the term limits in the state of Missouri? Is this working out the way we had it planned? Because it seems to me what they're doing is I was just watching social media, and one of the senators said that was, I think it was Mike Costello, as a matter of fact. He said that was a preview. We're trying to clean up the mess of the previous Congress. And I said, well, that might be true, but that could work out really nice, because if I just mess everything up and then I'm out of office, and I can blame everything that's happening on the previous person. This chain begins to roll, and now nobody's really responsible for anything, because they've made something that is in the future, and then when it happens, everybody's
Rob, let's go back to where you started before about the elections. Let's clean up the elections, and then we won't need term limits. I think
that's where I always go.
I think if we had faith in our elections and that they were being run properly, and we would have people participate. I think one of the reasons people don't participate is because they don't trust them. They don't think it matters. And then to me, the discussion of term limits becomes moot if we have good elections where people are participating.
Right.
And I don't understand this argument with term limits. We vote. These people aren't in for life. We vote them in, we vote them out. I think we have to be really, really careful with this term limit idea, because think about this. If we're turning over candidates, who's going to run?
Right.
You think you're going to get good people? I'm like, people, you're lazy. Get out and vote and fight for your elections.
Well,
fight for it. I mean, get up. I see them.
Well,
wake up. I want to do Roseanne Barr. We're like, snap out of it, baby.
Snap out of it, everybody. I feel the same way, because, for probably 20 something years, people know that I'm very heavily invested in politics. I have a strong opinion on things. I work hard, and I don't mind debating people. I don't mind having confrontational arguments or kind arguments, whatever you want to do. So people have said, you should run for office. You should run for office. And for years, I thought about, should I run for office? And I look at it now, and I've made this comment before. I couldn't ask people for money to run, because I don't know if the elections are going to be run properly. So how can I go out and say, hey, give me $25,000. I'm going to be your next senator, or I'm going to run for whatever office, because I don't trust it. I just couldn't with a straight face ask people for money. That's just me. And there's some good friends of mine that are running, and they're trying to make a difference. I personally could not go out and raise, $300,000-$400,000 from people in this election system, because I don't trust it. And I think, why would I want to run in a system? You'd have to get the referees organized before I play the game. And they don't have.
Again, it goes back to that thinking, the citizens thinking, if we just get the right person in there, if we just get the right person, that's got to stop. You're throwing them into an evil machine.
Yes,
and so we're just spending good people, get in there and demand systemic change. I know that's a term for all the leftists on there. I used a socialist term, systemic change.
I agree with you. You and I are the same thing.
But and that requires, I don't know. Pressure, like you said.
Our system of government,
they're not going to change it on their own.
Our system of government is for the people, but it's by the people. It requires the people's participation. If people think they can just vote somebody in and then check out completely, that's not the way our system was meant to work. And
proven not to work.
Until we get back to that and educate people that they have to be involved in whatever level they're able to be involved in, but everybody can be involved at some level and at least be checking and holding their own representatives accountable, then it's not going to, we can't change the system until the people make the change to do that.
You got to fix that system first. Okay, I want to do this with you, because when I saw this, it blew my mind, and a lot of people shared it yesterday. And you guys are getting very popular. So you're coming through my feed a lot. I like this. I like that Equity is getting some traction finally. Pop that up for me if you don't mind, Isaiah, because this is the bill that you were talking about that caught my attention. It caught several people's attention, because it's it's supposed to be a single subject bill, and you said HB 2372, one bill, 32 subjects. And then if you can fast forward down there just a little bit, Isaiah, look at all of the different.
I know, isn't it crazy? Look at the subjects.
Yes, select in there. So health-related awareness month days, municipal hospitals, allergy, ambulance district, community paramedic services, and it goes on 32 different subjects is the way you guys see it. And I guess
what was the title? What was the title on that bill?
I think they changed it to public health or something like that.
Okay, so this is the other thing. We have to know what the definition. Public health is a category, not a subject.
Right.
And that's how they're doing. And then they're like, oh, well, that all has to do with it. We need to go back and I guess learn grammar and understand what subject means.
Yeah, because when you said subject, I talked about this on the radio, because you guys taught me everything. You and the Shield Maidens taught me what I know. And then I hear from the politicians too, because they were, they talk to me, and I hear them, and I'm like, your argument's not as strong as theirs. Their argument is better than yours. And I start to recognize that, and that's just the way it is played out in my mind.
Let me go back to this other bill, and just give the title, what it started out and what they changed the title to. So it started out the unlawful use of unmanned aircraft in certain areas. They changed the title on Tuesday after they realized this wasn't going to fly to just simply public safety. and Representative Wolfman did get up on the floor, and he pointed out public safety is not a title, it is a category. And he tried to explain it, and of course, they just kept running to the mic, holding up their bills. I've got an amendment. I've got an amendment. I mean that.
And why do they do that? Why do they want all these amendments thrown in?
Because these are bills that
they know have to go through.
We're down to the end of the session. They know that they aren't going to pass on their own. Some of them have maybe gotten a hearing, and that's it. So they see a bill that they know has to pass, that will pass. And if I don't know if Isaiah can pull it up, but on that healthcare bill, one of our followers on X posted a video from the committee hearing from that bill sponsor, and she says, "Look, this bill is I want it to be a Christmas tree. Everybody bring your ornaments and put it on my bill." And and so that's the attitude. And we were hearing that leadership was encouraging them to bring their bills and pile them onto that bill on Tuesday that we saw.
Wow. And my favorite, the one thing that you brought to my attention that I absolutely love, and I bring it up every time I see your face, Mike, is when I heard you say this, it blew my mind. You said that with Republican legislation, a percentage of Democrats vote with Republican legislation more so than the Republicans themselves do. And that blew my mind. Now it's a smaller number, but I'm going to remind everybody, when you think there is two parties going on here, just think about this for a second. A Republican introduces legislation. The entire body is going to vote on it. And as a percentage, more Democrats vote for Republican legislation than the Republicans themselves. Just think about that.
We were blown away with that, because we just went in with a theory. I said, let's go with the theory it's a uniparty. Let's see if we can find the evidence for that. What would show that? And Mike, with his great, tech skills and research skills, said, okay, the data should show it. And I'm like, all right. So in we go. And he goes, you're not going to believe it. You're right. 60%. I'm like, you got to be kidding. Maybe it is a uniparty. We're making the speculations, and citizens thinking like, well, could it be this? Could it be that? And so then we just go dig and say, let's see. And lo and behold, we were
fascinating piece of research. I appreciate it. All right, you guys, I've got to get this guy on. He is. You can check this out. When you said uniparty, I'm going to play this clip. Where do people find you? actformo.org, actformo.org. If people want to donate to you, which I highly suggest they do, I'm going to do everything I can to raise money for you guys. I think that my show benefits from your ability to explain what's going on down there. So I'll tie my show, and I'll continue to promote.
We appreciate it. We're just covering expenses. Nobody's taking management fees. This is not my job.
And everything we put out for free. So there's no paywall. There's no subscription to join.
Garrett, post it.
I would assume like me, you were losing money.
Oh, absolutely. I know some of the groups that are backed by billionaires are questioning who sponsors us. And believe me, if we had a budget, if we had just their monthly budget in our total existence,
right,
I can only imagine the stuff we could do, because
then they'd really be on the run.
That's what I'm saying. It's the same thing I say about People's Lab in Missouri. If you fund us, we'll do the work for you. We'll make things happen, but we have the ability to do it. It's not easy. Even to run a website, you got to have time and money. If you want to go down to Jefferson City, it costs time and money. If you want to do a broadcast like this, we just spent $3,000-$4,000 just on cameras so that we put the show on. Yeah. Everything that we're doing costs money, and I don't want to beg. I'm not a beggar.
We're not. Yeah, we're good.
He tells me all the time. Isaiah gets mad at me. He goes, "You got to promote it." He goes, "Every time you promote it, he goes, you got to do it all." I'm like, I'm uncomfortable doing that. But I appreciate what you guys do. When you talk about uniparty, the next guy we're going to bring in is running for the vacated space.
Right.
Nancy Mace. He's coming in, and this guy has got a phenomenal campaign going on, and he talks about the uniparty. So we're going to play that clip, just something he put out onto social media. Great to see you guys.
Good to see you, Rob.
All you guys do. I'll be in touch with you.
Feel better.
Yep. Thank you. Have a great day. Okay.
Bye.
All right, let's turn it over to. We're running a little bit late, but I want to play this for Tyler before we start. I love this campaign. I was unaware of it. Isaiah, you brought it to my attention just recently, and I started watching the clips of this guy, and I absolutely adore what he has to say, and I like his background too. January 6th prisoner, a Marine, a business owner, and he said, "I'm just going to call it as I see it. I'm not going to get caught up in all the BS. I'm going to call things as I see them." And he's out there making a name for himself. And boy, do I hope that he wins in South Carolina. So let's play this clip of him. You have that one?
Yep, ready to go.
Tyler Dykes is this guy's name. Tyler Dykes from South Carolina. Let's clip this up and get it out as far and wide as we can, because this is the type of person we need in DC. These are the people we got to get into positions of power right here. Tyler Dykes, check this out.
A plan for South Carolina, and it doesn't include you.
The Uniparty told you that the system was broken. They lied. The system is working exactly like how the Swamp Uniparty designed it, to strip you of your wealth, your history, and your future. My name is Tyler Dykes. I'm a Marine, a business owner, and the one thing that the DC Swamp is terrified of: a candidate they cannot buy and that they cannot control. My opponents, they're consultants, they're lobbyists, they're the Uniparty in cheap suits who are selling out your family's future in order to earn their next promotion. Meanwhile, low-country families are suffering from the rising cost of living, and military veterans can't even get the care they need that they've already earned. These other candidates, they didn't sacrifice for this country. I lost everything. They stripped me of my career, they tried to silence my voice, and they tried to break my family. But they forgot one thing. You don't break a Marine, you make us harder. We aren't fighting a Republican or a Democrat. We're fighting a regime that treats the American taxpayer like a piggy bank for foreign wars and servant to global interests. I'm not asking for your permission to represent you. I'm asking for you to join me in taking back what is rightfully ours, to secure our border, to remove foreign influence, to protect our low-country military families, and to put South Carolina first. I'm Tyler Dykes, and I'm the only one in this race who isn't looking for a seat at their table. I'm looking to burn the table down. So let's do this.
All right, Tyler Dykes. Boy, do I love that. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
I am fantastic, Rob. How are yourself?
I'm absolutely. I'm a little miserable today, but I'm very excited to see you. When I was watching your videos, I thought, man, I relate to everything that you're saying. I'm not a Marine, but I was at January 6th. I got to watch that go down, and I got to ask you before we get into everything else, what was it like? I've talked to a couple people that were there on January 6th. They got arrested. But how did this come about for you? Did you get inside the Capitol? Were you breaking things? Were you beating people up? Were you bouncing fire hydrants off police officers' heads? What did you do for them to arrest you on January 6th?
Well, if you read the media articles, you'd think I was a mass murderer. That's what you would think. Neo-Nazi domestic terrorist tears down the White House. But no, none of that happened. I pretty much just walked inside was the extent. I did go inside. There was an incident where one of the cops took their riot shield, smashed it down onto somebody's head. Everyone reached in, grabbed it out of his hands. They let go. I picked it up, never even touched an officer. And for that crime, for not even touching the riot shield while the cop had it, they charged me with a 30-year charge of robbery with a deadly weapon, where the shield was both the deadly weapon and the thing that was robbed. And so that's what they got me for. And then to sort of pressure me to plead down to a lesser charge, which of course I did, with the expectation of being able to get a pardon, which I did. So that is the short version of how I eventually ended up getting arrested.
I was there with you, and I theoretically I could have been in the same situation as you. If you remember, it was cold that day. Yeah. And we started walking there. We were trying to get some food, and I was freezing. My feet were frozen. We'd been out there since 6 o'clock in the morning. So I made a detour to the hotel. And by the time I got to the hotel, I turned on the television, and all hell was breaking loose that day. And it was crazy. I guess the other question for you, because we were worried about it. You know, the people that I went there were like, are they going to pick us up? And we never went in. We were outside just watching the festivities, if you will. And I thought, we were all nervous that we were going to get a knock on our door at some point because of the geofencing. They're like, you know, you're there, that kind of thing. I was outspoken about it. I was doing a podcast at the time. Did the FBI just knock on your door one day? Do they come get you at work? How does this all play out? How do they arrest you? And where does it go from there?
Sure. So when they arrested me, I was actually already trying to deal with another issue where I was arrested for going to a rally and holding a tiki torch. And so when they arrested me for that, for protesting against the removal of Confederate statues, they had indicated and promised me that they sort of knew that I was at J6, but if I pled guilty to this charge, they wouldn't go after me for J6. And so on my release date from that, thinking it was all behind me, 2 FBI agents came into the jail where I was being held and arrested me for January 6th right in there, inside the jail, after they just promised me they essentially would not do that. So I don't know if anyone's listening at home, folks. Don't trust the cops or the prosecutions when they tell you something. They're going to be lying every time.
We got a story. We got a story that we just Tuesday. We had a conversation with a guy who was shot twice in the chest, twice in the forehead, and he is in prison for trying to shoot the cops, which he videotaped. You can watch the fact that it didn't happen. This guy's been in prison for 13 years. It was a spy camera on his wrist. So they didn't know that that was a spy camera. So when they got it, they proved that everything that the cop said was not true. And he's still in prison to this day, 13 years later. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. So when you say don't trust everybody involved in politics and in the policing system, sometimes you got to be very careful of what goes down. So you were in, how long were you in prison, and what was prison life like? We used to hear Laura Logan do they singing the national anthem. I was at one of their events where people were singing the national anthem from inside the prison. What was treatment like, and how long were you in there?
I ended up doing a 1.5 years of the ankle monitor, and then I went inside and I spent 5 months in federal prison, way up in Fort Dix, New Jersey, 500 plus miles away, which is illegal. They broke the law when they shipped me that far from home. And but honestly, the prison was not as bad as I was expecting, and it was worse in some ways than I was expecting. Right. And so the main issue for me actually was the fact that it's impossible to get a full night's sleep in prison. Absolutely impossible. You have the guards coming in every few hours, hitting the door and being loud as they come in. You have sort of the paranoia as you're checking your six and your corners to make sure you're not about to get jumped or something like that. And then on top of that, you have the fact that you're in prison, and a lot of the people manage to smuggle drugs into the prison. And so they're staying up all hours of the night, yelling and screaming and running around. And even if it's just in their cells, they're still banging on it and being loud. So it was a very, very difficult experience, a lot in that way. But I also have a lot of advantages, right? I'm 6'6", military, combat trained, 240 pounds. Nobody messed with me, right? Nobody
I love it. Good point. You're a little too big to be messing with. I got it. Yeah. A lot of times, you know, when you're around alpha males, they like to take the biggest guy in the crowd and take a shot at him. You know, that happens as well. But I hear where you're coming from, man. I apologize that it happened to you. I just think, you know, I love this country. And when I see these things happen, it really is deflating, because when you're talking about the Confederate statutes, nobody even really understands what happened even with the Confederate Army. And, you know, the guy that was leading the Confederate Army was against slavery. You know, nobody really even understands our history, because they've so rearranged it that nobody even knows what's going on. And you say, you know, I don't want these Confederates. It's a part of our history. I don't want these torn down. They turn you into a neo-Nazi and a crazy person, and you're a racist and everything else. And it's just a lack of history and understanding of history is where our society, unfortunately, a lot of people don't know what's really going on. Now let's get into your campaign. So you're a former Marine, you're a business owner. What drove you into running for this particular, because you're going to run in Nancy Mace's vacated spot, correct?
That's right. She's running for governor, so the seat is wide open.
So the seat is wide open. Are you the odds-on favorite? Is Lindsey Graham endorsing you? Because of that, I'm going to have to pull out if Lindsey Graham is endorsing you.
No, I've got his endorsement along with every lobby. No, he's not endorsing me.
So and when you make the decision, are you making the decision because of what happened on January 6th? You see the country going off the rails, and you're like, I can make a difference. I'm going to throw my name in the hat. Is that kind of how it all played out, or was there some event other than what I'm hearing from you that shaped your opinion?
Well, I think I need to go back a few more years and talk about what really got me into politics to begin with, because I was like completely out of the whole political ideals. I was very much so used to be the socially liberal, fiscal conservative type growing up and in high school. I come from a pretty well-off upper middle class family that grew up in a 98% white community in the South. So I was very sheltered, very sort of, I guess, privileged is what a liberal would say. And so I had really no idea about anything that was political in the world, but I was smart. And so I got a full scholarship to Chapel Hill to go abroad for a gap year program. It's UNC Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And when I went to that program, a prerequisite before they sold you or before they sent you overseas is you had to basically indoctrinate yourself into hating yourself. And so here I was coming in with no experience, no idea about anything political. This is before DEI really took a hold everywhere, before critical race theory. And I had to go through this checklist where I had to describe why I was evil for being white, why I was evil for being male, why I was evil for being straight, why I was evil for not being poor. And I'm just like, again and again, they're trying to get me to hate myself for existing. And every single success that I had, they said, was because of those qualities, not the hard work, not the dedication that I had, not the help even from my parents. It was because of the way I was born. That's where I got to where I was. And so I hated that. I decided not to go there. I ended up going to Cornell University instead, but I took that gap year overseas, and I did it on my own. And when I went abroad, when I went to Spain, to Germany, to England, did 4 months in Spain, and then traveled around Europe for a bit, and then 4 months in Romania, I saw the exact same problems in every single country.
Exactly.
I saw the southern part of Spain. I speak Spanish, and I couldn't understand a word people were saying because they were all speaking Arabic. I went to London for a few days. Not only is it outrageously expensive, but I was the only person that spoke English practically that I met, aside from a couple of Australians that I met. I went over to Dublin, and instead of Irish pubs, it was full of Turkish kebab shops. And then I went to Berlin, and the hostel tour guide literally highlighted entire streets that you couldn't go on because the Muslims had no-go zones, where you couldn't even walk down the road because you get attacked because I was not Muslim, and I am not Muslim. And so as I went throughout Europe, I became to just rage. Why are these people here? Why are they flooding in? Why are there all these foreigners when I'm seeing these monuments, the Brandenburg Gates and all these different things, and I can't even get close because of all the people that are there? Then I end up in Romania, and it is beautiful. It's a very poor country, but it's traditional. They have a very strong dedication to their culture, to their heritage, to their faith, and they don't apologize for it. And that's when I realized we needed to be more like that and not like the rest of Western Europe that is just drowning itself in foreigners. So then I get back home.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you. I get back home and I go to school, and then this is really where all of it's really picking up. You got the DEIs really pushed in, and then I go to Cornell, and they're really pushing the same idea. And that's really what started my initial drive into politics, was realizing they are intentionally flooding our countries all over the world with people specifically to destroy our culture.
Boy, I could not agree more. And what do you think it is? Do you think that this is why we have these proxy wars all over the Middle East? Because I always say we go in and we invade countries, whether you think they're righteous or not. It's not. I won't argue with that, or even have the debate with you today. If I don't know which side of the fence you're on, don't want to get there. But we go into these countries, and then they are escaping the bombing like anybody would do. I always say, if they start bombing Lake St. Louis, Missouri, I'm getting out of here. I'm not going to stick around and hang out for the bomb. I'm getting out of here. So these Muslims, they start to migrate all over the world, and then you have some that are very nice and some that are very kind, but some of them are very radical because they now hate the Western world because you're bombing their societies. But they ended up all over Europe, all over the United States. It has to be planned, doesn't it have to be orchestrated? Nobody would start a war with people and then invite them into your country and leave your borders wide open. It doesn't even make any sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense, and it's absolutely orchestrated. I met a lot of people from the Middle East while I was in Europe. And, I met people from Palestine, from Egypt, from Syria. And, I was never friends with them. I didn't talk with them for long. But time and time again, they would say that a very specific small country in the Middle East and America were destroying their homes, were ruining a lot of the things they were trying to do back home. And then they would get invited by all of these NGOs, by all these big companies, the Open Borders Foundation, the Hebrew Immigration Society, all these different organizations would invite them in to go and immigrate. And, it's like when you're playing chess, every single move you do, if you're a good player, and I'm okay, every single move you do has to have like 2 or 3 different purposes for it to be a good move, right? You got to develop the piece, threaten a square, be in a good position. It's the exact same thing in real life. And so what I think is happening is they There are a lot of these wars going on where they want to destabilize key countries so that certain people can expand their influence.
Yes.
But while they're doing that, if they can also destabilize our countries back home, that's like a 2-for-1 special. And so I think that a lot of that is happening right now.
Well, same exact brain. I didn't even know you felt that way, but that's exactly how I see it. So that little country that you're talking about, are you taking money from APAC? Because my audience is going to want to know. I've been very anti. I think this flooding of money into Congress is something right there. You go right on the screen. We talk about it all the time. I'm not anti-Semitic. I don't know how you feel about the Jewish people. I'm not anti-Semitic. In fact, it's ridiculous to tag me with that label. But every time I say there's an undue influence coming from the Middle East and coming from Israel in particular on our government, we should explore that. We should have a conversation about it. What is happening here? Boy, they come after me pitchforks and get very upset with me, a certain group of people. Are you taking money from APAC? Do you see this as a problem that we have going on? And how would you solve it? Because it doesn't seem like there's many people that are on our wavelength, if you will.
I would say there are quite a few more people coming onto our wavelength. And of course, to fully clarify, I am taking $5 million from APAC. No, I am taking $0 from APAC or any other foreign lobby. I have taken zero money from any corporate PACs or anything like that as well. So I don't take any of their money. And if you want to give me money, that's great, but I am not going to change my values whatsoever. And I will never accept money from the Israel lobby.
Has it been hard to get money? Because again, when I see the establishment, and we talk about politics every day, so I'm starting to see how trends develop. If you want to get into the establishment and you want to cozy up to the establishment, somehow, some way, money funnels to you. If you want to challenge the establishment, if you want to say, listen, I'm not buying into what you're selling. When you talk about the uniparty, I'm right there with you. When you challenge it, my good friend Jeffrey Wilson, he says all the time, he goes, Rob, the truth is severely underfunded. And we see that. We see when we challenge it, they come after us. They try to destroy you. They wreck your reputation. They start whisper campaigns. They tag you with the anti-Semite, racist, xenophobic, all these different things. And I don't necessarily care, but I know that it does influence the thinking of people that I wish were getting on the same page with me and you, because I think you see it very clearly as I do. How's it been for you? I mean, what's been your experience?
Yeah, it's been very interesting getting donations. I've purchased and got a lot of different donor lists, the donor lists for people all over South Carolina that have donated to Republicans before. And it's been very interesting. I get a lot of people that really love what I have to say about all of it. And they want to donate, a lot of them, but a lot of them just don't have as much free funds. But they'll donate, $20, $50, $100 here. But the big donors, the ones that give thousands and thousands of dollars to campaigns, almost universally, these people refuse almost to even talk to me. Like, if they're positive on the phone, they really like what I have to say, and then they get home and research and they're like, oh no, you were at January 6th, you're a terrorist and a traitor to our nation. They tell me these things, these big donors, just for January 6th, not even talking about foreign influence. And so it's a bigger problem with the donor class than the average person. I've actually had a lot of success reaching out to the average person, to talking to people about what's going on. My district, the area here in Bluffton, Hilton Head, Charleston, Beaufort, Mount Pleasant, this whole area is like almost exclusively boomer, with the exception of the college areas of Charleston. It is almost exclusively older retiree, where like if you're 60, you're young in these communities.
Yep, I know it. I'll golf down there.
And but even so, I get up on stage at these primary debates. I get up there and I say the truth about how we are being unduly influenced by Israel, about how all these different PACs are trying to take over our country and have been doing it for quite a while. And I actually get a lot of support. I have people coming up to me afterwards saying they loved what I had to say. I have people saying they want to help me campaign. They volunteer for me. And so there's like two very separate groups of people. You have the typical donors and you have the typical person. And with the typical person, I am doing phenomenally with getting like $20, $10, $30 here. But with the big time donor, not even close.
Boy, it's that way all over the country. It really is. No. It's that way all over the country. When you say uniparty, as soon as I was listening to all of your clips over the last few days, and I heard you mention uniparty, we talk about it all the time. I said, the reason you can tell is, just through outcomes. If you watch the way the government works, it has to be a uniparty, because if you were really fighting for policies from the right or conservative ideology, or even liberal for that matter, if you were really fighting for these things, somebody would get the government. They'd have the House, the Senate, and the presidency, which we have now, if you're on the right, and things would change dramatically right away, because you would say, well, boy, those leftist people that we raise all the money because they're so crazy. Now we have the apparatus. We're going to go fix this thing, and we're going to make life better for everybody. We're going to clean up our streets. We're going to do all kinds of different economic policies that would help the middle class. It never really happens. It never, ever happens. If they give you a tax cut, inflation goes up, right? There's always, they give you one good thing that you can hang your hat on, but then there's 3 bad things right behind it. And that tells me that this is more of a puppet government, where their big money kind of controls the day, and there's many different, the insurance lobby, there's the, the pharma lobby, there's the APAC, there's all these different big money lobbies. Is that the way you see the uniparty working? It's really just corporate money. It's just really big money comes in. They get these people into positions of power. They kind of own them because they got them into office, and then they kind of control from behind the scenes how these people are going to vote. Is that what you mean by uniparty?
There's a lot of that, but it's also just the fact the entire system coerces people to work with it. And if you are not explicitly anti-system, if you are not explicitly at war with them, they find a way to co-opt you and to drag you in and graft you into their little tree, right? Like, there are people that I know in the South Carolina State House, for example, that basically they're people that agree with me. They agree with the things that I have to say, but they can't really say it. They have to keep their position. They have to be able to be invited to the parties. They have to be able to be in the places of influence so they can continue running for re-election, exactly what you said. And so because of that, they don't rock the boat. They're afraid to rock the boat. They're afraid to step out and go against who really holds the power. And so it's exactly what you said. A lot of it's the big money, but also a lot of it is just the way that the rules and the regulations are. Like in the federal House, for example, in order to get onto a committee, which is where you make all of the laws, you actually have to fundraise money for the Republican Party, a minimum of $100,000. And if you don't fundraise that money and basically give it to the GOP, you won't get on a committee assignment. And if you're not in committee assignment, you can't even begin to make laws. You can't get anything done. And so in order to fundraise that money, it is almost exclusively through these big donors, these big institutional donors. And so these big guys are essentially purchasing these seats in these committees in order to get them done. And these committee assignments are also largely chosen by the Speaker of the House, which of course is, Mike Johnson. And these decisions that he makes are also very, very, very highly influenced by the whole country's party, like all of the leadership of the party, who again are funded by lobbyists and all these different groups of people. And so it's like a combination of the money, it's a combination of what's required to get in. But I think that the biggest thing stopping people is fear. They're afraid largely of getting the treatment that I got. They're afraid of getting crushed. They're afraid of losing their homes, their finances. They're afraid of their reputations being destroyed. And let me tell you, no one's prepared for that. No one is prepared to lose $1 million business the way that I did. No one is prepared to have their careers smeared and to have their friendships attacked. There's someone that I knew that, like, his brother-in-law of someone I knew was investigated by the feds because maybe I had contact with him when I never did. Like, that is the level of involvement they will go through every single ring of your life if you get into this sort of realm of anti-system politics. And so most people are just afraid to even take the risk. But we only need a couple of people to get in Congress who are willing to fight back. You'd only need about 5 good people in Congress to change who the House Speaker is, to put pressure in. You'd only need 8 or 9 to be able to regularly get discharge petitions like Massey did with the Epstein files. You don't really need more than like 15 to 20 people to just dominate every aspect of politics if you are a unified bloc fighting the system together, refusing to compromise. And that is exactly something that I hope to bring to the table. I would like to be one of those people in Congress.
Yeah, you need disruptors. That's what you need. You need people who are willing to go there and fight. I mean, you look, and there's a lot of power you're fighting, so it's never easy. People think they're going to go there and they've got this certain kind of personality. You got to be somebody who is ready to fight from day one, and you got to challenge everybody, and you can't be afraid, and you can't be influenced, which is apparently very difficult to do. How did your family and friends and coworkers take you from when January 6th, you get out of prison, you're coming back home. Did you lose a lot of friendships? Did people say, oh, you're this terrible person? Did family start to escape from you? What was life like when you got out of prison? I'm just curious what shaped your worldview.
Thankfully, God bless my parents. While they don't agree with everything that I believe in, they have always supported me from day one. I have a very loving girlfriend who I plan to propose to should all of this stuff, once it's all sort of finalized and I have enough extra money for a good quality ring. She stayed with me through this whole experience, through years in prison, all of it. And I had maybe one or two friends that I had out of the 10 or 15 that I had before stick with me all the way through. And it was just devastating because it wasn't even that they didn't like me. It wasn't that they didn't support me. It wasn't that they didn't want to be around me. They were terrified that they were going to get investigated, that the feds would find something to throw at them. And so even though they liked me, even though some of them might have even agreed with me or agreed with all the decisions that I've made, they took a step back and refused contact. They refused to get involved, refused to help. And the same thing with a lot of neighbors as well, people that I know. And so, again, it's just fear. Fear drove a lot of people away. And so I thank God every day for the family and few friends I had that did stick around.
Tyler Burks, I'll tell you this. If you win, watch how they come back to you. You become a U.S. congressperson, you watch how those people start to come back to you. You just watch what I'm telling you. This is how it works. When you're down and you need people, I've been through this a couple times in life. I'm a little older than you. When you're down and you need people, you find out who your friends are. It's really God-given, right? Because you find out who really cares about you and has respect for you. When you're down, you need them. And when you're up, they come to you. It's the craziest thing in the world. Give me a little bit about your platform. So I'm sure there are certain issues that are important to you. Can you kind of list off your priorities, things that you're running for, things that you'd like to accomplish?
Absolutely. We got a lot of issues going on in this country, but I think there's like 3 or 4 really big ones, especially for my generation, right? So I'm 28. I'm like the oldest end of Gen Z. And the biggest issues for us are mass immigration, right? You have the flood of people coming in, and because of it, you can't get jobs, you can't get promoted. H-1Bs are stealing all of like the tech jobs. You've got all of these illegals from South America taking a lot of the menial labor jobs. So that's a really big issue, is mass immigration. 2 is affordability. Everything is getting more expensive. Inflation is driving up the prices. You have competition for everything. Like in Charleston, I knew a couple of people in the College of Charleston, and they had 5 people in a singular like apartment. It was a 4-bedroom apartment. They had 5 people. All 5 of them, each individually, had to pay $1,000 a month in rent. And this was not an elite house. This was like borderline in the ghetto, and they're having to spend $5,000 a month collectively to rent this place. That's insane. That is ridiculous, and we need to take steps to deal with that. And then, of course, you have the roots of a lot of these problems, which is that all of our politicians have sold out, and so they don't actually want to fix the issues. It would be very easy to, if you just, the Republican Party controls both the House and Senate, it would be very easy to just pass a law ending a lot of these work visas, to pass a law granting enforcement of the border and actually carrying out deportations. And a lot of this just isn't happening. And so we have foreign influence, we have affordability, and mass immigration. Those are what I would say are like the 3 main issues that I want to tackle in Congress.
I got to ask you just a question because it's a big deal for me. When I watched the election process in 2020, it made a mark on my soul. I said, you know what? It's very interesting that this country waves the flag. We talk about freedom and liberty, and now our elections appear to me to be manipulated. What is the election system in South Carolina? In Missouri, it's supposed to be a paper ballot, and then there are rules that come along with a paper ballot. They don't pay attention to any of those rules. They use the tabulators, and we try to get them to stop. We say, listen, you're not following your own laws. What's going on here? They don't seem to care. What is the election system? Is it electronic voting systems? Is it paper ballot with tabulators? How do they count votes in South Carolina?
They have voting machines that they use in South Carolina. Quite unfortunately, there are a number of people that I know that are trying to pass I believe it's the Gold Standard Election Act for South Carolina, something along those lines, where they want to have it all hand-counted ballots, all paper ballots, full integrity, poll watchers of both parties, making sure that all of the things are being counted properly. And the only people that are even pushing for anything even remotely like this is the South Carolina Freedom Caucus. That's the only group of people out of all of the Republicans, or the 60 plus Republicans in South Carolina's legislature. There's only like 20 or 30 of them that are even trying to get stuff like that passed. But that's not really as much to me the biggest issue, at least for South Carolina with the voting machines. The bigger issue is the fact that a lot of the way that the state party actually tries to pre-select the candidate they want to win and drive everybody else out. That is way more of an election rigging than what they're able to do with the voting machines, at least here in South Carolina.
How many people are in your race?
Too many. We got 11 people, including myself, just in the Republican primary.
Really?
10 since one of them dropped out, but he's still officially on the ballot. Yes.
Wow. And are you guys having public debates, or is everybody showing up for these debates?
For the most part, most people are showing up to the debates. They're candidate forums where you get asked the question. You can't really respond to each other. It's not quite a debate, but it's almost a debate. And so people are showing up. But the bigger issue is that one of my opponents, a sitting state house member, the entire party apparatus has fully backed him. He's got the support from other legislators, from the various county chairmen, the county parties where they're promoting him. There was even a scandal where he was using his state house funds and his state government information to help promote his campaign and get people to donate to him, and using that information, which is illegal. And so there's all this like little corruption that's going on, right? Like in the Beaufort County Republican Party kicked me out of the party because I called them out on the fact that a number of their membership, of the leadership of the Beaufort County Party, left and began to work on this person's campaign. So they left to go and work for the state house member's campaign, and I've been told, I have not confirmed this information, but I have been told by people who know that he was actually handed free voter and donor registration lists by the people in office, and was able to also get a hold of a lot more information because of it. Again, I have not been able to confirm this information, so don't 100% say for sure that it is happening, but it's very concerning to me that people are even telling me this, and that there are all these other scandals that are happening. And so it's like that level of like unified pressure. That's exactly how people like Vivek Ramaswamy won.
Right.
That is how all of these different things are happening. And so you just have to shout louder. You have to have the grassroots, and you have to have the action. And that's the way you can overcome that.
Do you have AI data center conversations going on in South Carolina, or is that something you guys don't have to deal with yet?
We haven't had to deal with it too much. We've discussed it a little bit. There are like some data centers that are being proposed and built, but it hasn't really come to the forefront of the debate yet. Regardless, I'm completely opposed to building data centers in this state in its entirety. We have thousands of square miles of empty land out in the Midwest that nobody lives in. So if you really have to have a data center, build it out there where it would actually create jobs, where it would help develop an ecosystem. But you build it here, you're just going to drive up the prices of everything. Power prices are going to go up. There's not the infrastructure. And South Carolina is already the fastest growing state in the entire country. We have per capita. We have the highest growth per capita out of any state. And so when you have this level of growth already, the infrastructure is failing. The roads are not being maintained. There's not enough money for these basic projects. The water quality is getting worse. To have all that already happening and then add in a major data center, we are not prepared for it. We need to fix our problems first, and then maybe 20 years from now, consider a data center. But I would still be a no vote in that case.
Gotcha. Got just one more question for you, because I'm just curious. Donald Trump seems to be in line with Lindsey Graham, and I met Lindsey Graham at a fundraiser in St. Louis one time. He was stumping for Josh Hawley, and I said when I met him, even back then, this is when he was really popular. This is when he said, "I hope you guys don't get power." He pointed over to it was when the Supreme Court Judge Kavanaugh, and he said, "You guys want power? I hope you never get it." You know, that kind of thing. It made him very popular amongst conservatives. And when I met him, he's very tiny. Number one. I think he would probably come up to your navel. And then he said, when I met him, he wouldn't look me in the eye, shook my hand, but kind of just dismissed me when we were looking at him, and a very soft, gentlemanly handshake, kind of like a female, right? And I don't mean to, I'm not trying to be mean to my female listeners. I'm just saying very feminine. And I just remember it did make a very good impression on me. What is your take? And I shouldn't even say, what is your take? What is the take of the citizenry? It's hard for me to believe that Lindsey Graham is popular. I saw Donald Trump trying to stump for him where everybody was booing one time. This is why I always question the elections. I do not see Lindsey Graham as being a very likable figure. but he keeps winning, and I don't understand how the guy wins. What's your take on Lindsey Graham, and what's the other guy down there? Tim Scott, is he still going?
Yeah, you got a lot of people that are still going, still running. My view of it is that Lindsey Graham, he's exactly what you just described. I've met him, I think, twice at various Republican events, and I've got the very same impression every time. One of those times, I tried to confront him on H-1B visas.
Yeah.
And the second the word H-1B came out of my mouth, and I was in, suit and tie, official candidate and everything, he like completely turned and almost like jogged away so he wouldn't have to talk to me. And then his two security teams stepped in front and like blocked me when just a second previously I was taking a picture with him and shaking his hand. Like that. Just bam.
Yeah.
He's pretty short. I'm 6'6". He comes up to like my chest area level, maybe a little shorter. He is not popular. People don't like him. But the problem is that the average voter is not super well informed. The average voter is going out there and has a job, has a family, is trying to provide for their kids. They have maybe one or two hobbies that they actually are able to go out and do. Unlike you and I, we're very invested in politics. We know about the terrible things that he supported. The average person does not. And so the biggest thing that matters when it comes to getting elected is, do people know your name?
Yeah.
That is the biggest thing. Are you noticed? Have you gotten people's attention? And he is supported by a lot of big organizations, a lot of big companies, and he has millions of dollars of funding to just push out advertising. Look at me, I am such a great candidate, vote Lindsey Graham. And so if you're that voter that has been working hard all week, all year, just trying to get provided for your family, and the only name that you have heard is Lindsey Graham, you're voting Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
So
are you getting any kind of, well, if I were you, and I'm just thinking out loud, if I were you, I would go to people who kind of are like-minded, that have a public presence, like a Thomas Massey or a Marjorie Taylor Greene. Have you reached out to these people and said, listen, I'm kind of on the same page with what you're believing. Can I get an endorsement from you? Because that would give you name recognition. If Thomas Massey comes to South Carolina and does a speaking engagement with you, immediately you have, you know what I mean? You have some name credibility. Have you tried to get that done? Have you had any response from some of these people that are on your side of the fence?
Well, yeah, no, I actually reached out to both Marjorie and to Thomas Massey, to both of the representatives. But I mean, they're getting so many thousands of requests on a daily basis and so many emails and messages. I'd be very surprised if they ended up getting it. But yes, no, it'd be absolutely amazing. I fully intend on being a part of the Freedom Caucus, Restore Caucus, and getting out there and fighting for America. And I greatly respect everything that Thomas Massey has been doing in Congress. So yes, I would absolutely like to connect with him and help to promote a lot of the same things that he's doing there.
Good. Okay. And then last thing, how do people find you? If they want to donate to you, if they want to follow your, I'm going to follow your campaign. And I'm trying to get Thomas Massey on the show. You know, we're just starting out. I came from the radio, had an audience in the radio. Right in the middle of a show, I was getting a little hot, and the station ownership shut me down, and I resigned right away. So my entire audience is trying to figure out where I'm at. You know, I'm just getting ready to roll again on social media. But how do people find you? If I can get these people on the show, if I can get people that are like-minded, I'll drive them to your campaign, and hopefully you can get some of these people to stand up for you. That would be I think the best way to get name recognition, is some of these people that already have it, that are like-minded, to endorse you, and then all of a sudden you're off and running. So how do people find you in the short term if they want to donate to your campaign?
Absolutely. The easiest way to do it is go to votetylersc.com. VOTETYLERSC.com. SC is in South Carolina. And then there's a little donate button. You see it right there. Donate now. Click that. It'll take you to my Anadot page, and you can donate from there. And that is the easiest, best way you can help support. $10 will get 2 yard signs to be able to put out in the yard. $100 will be able to buy a whole stack of 1,000 flyers to hand out to people. So even these small numbers make a huge, huge difference. I don't have the hundreds of thousands of dollars of some of my opponents, or the $3 million of one of my opponents. And so even the smallest amount makes a massive difference for getting name recognition, for getting the word out there, and for helping to hold events. And so again, it is votetylersc.com. Click the donate link, and that is the best way you can help support the campaign. I'm also on basically all social media. My biggest following in social media is on X. And so yeah, just come out, check me out, see what I have to say. And if you believe in the things that I am saying, and you want a fighter who will try to fix the problems and fight the system that causes it, please donate. Even $10 really helps. Thank
Amen.
you.
Tyler Dykes, Marine, business owner, spent 5.5 months in prison for J6, which, I was there. I saw what went down there. It's crazy that people spend time in prison for what I think the president invited us to do, to go down there. And then, you get caught up in the whole thing. You don't hurt anybody. You don't do anything dangerous. And all of a sudden you're spending time in prison. I thought it was a travesty of American justice. Tyler Dykes, I wish you very well, my friend. I'll be in touch with you quite soon. If we can, we were talking about it with Isaiah. We might get out to a couple of campaign rallies of people that are like-minded, talk to you, clip it up. We'll clip up this. We'll try to get out onto social media, have some of our friends try to push it out a little bit further for you. You got it, my man. Enjoy your day, and I appreciate your service to this country.
Thank you, Rob. God bless.
God bless you. All right, Tyler Dykes, everybody. Isaiah, what do you think? You liked him from the get-go.
Oh yeah, I loved him from the get-go. Something we didn't get into that I wanted.
You jump in if I start messing things up.
Oh no, it's okay. It was kind of not relevant, and I didn't want to go off on a tangent here. But funny enough, Tyler was actually at a big, I would say, somewhat controversial event now, called America First United, and I thought it was a cool event. There was, I talked to you about Pastor Joel Webbin, for the New Christian,
I like him.
Right? Yeah, love him. And there's Casey Putsch there and different people. And so this event was trying to bring people from bipartisan, left and right, and bring them together for this idea that we want America first. We don't want, a foreign nation first. And so Tyler actually spoke at that event. And so I thought that was pretty cool that he got that opportunity right alongside Casey Putsch and other big influencers that are out there in the America First movement. And so
we'll have him back on. I want to talk. We'll get that conversation going. Would it be nice if somebody listening today would donate like a couple $1 million so that we can do this marketing campaign and really get these people? If you could get people like him, like you said, if you got 20 people that think like him into a position of power in this country, it would change everything for us. I mean, you at least have a voice of reason within your country, and you can begin to shape the narratives away from what they're shaping now, which is war with Iran. The establishment gets everything that they want. Money buys politics. A lot of people won't run because they just say, whoever has the most money wins. And I'm not so sure that they're wrong anymore. I'm not so sure that just whoever has the most money wins.
Yeah, knowing South Carolina, I worked for one of my CEOs was from Charleston. And so I know how conservative it is there. And it is so surprising. I'm so glad you brought up Lindsey Graham, because it's just it reminds me of Aaron Baker when we're talking about him, about his congressional race, and Randy Fine. It's like, how do these people that no one likes get elected into these really big positions of power, right?
Well, if you want to put this up, we'll do this right now. Clip it's number 2. It's Marjorie Taylor Greene. Let's do it. And then we got to do some advertising here. But get Marjorie Taylor Greene.
How we keep the show running, right?
They're not going to pass the SAVE Act. The most simplistic piece of legislation ever in the history of the world.
You're right.
The Republican-led Congress cannot get the SAVE Act passed.
Yeah.
Think about that. All you want is to prove that you're an American citizen. They have 30 million people in here illegally, and all you want is the SAVE Act passed, which I think is just, like I said, it's not. There's so much more that you have to accomplish.
Yep.
Read that for me real fast.
Yeah.
No,
So the Republican-controlled.
I got a headache, but I should read it. Hang on a minute.
No, you're okay. It says the Republican-controlled Senate has given up on the Save America Act, the bill requiring ID and proof of citizenship to vote. Republicans refuse to protect election integrity by getting rid of the filibuster, self-imposed 60-vote rule, and just pass it with a simple majority, even though they control the Senate with 52 seats. And this comes, funny enough, this is coming amidst the pullback on deportations and kind of a shift in immigration policy too, I feel like. So I wonder
just think of a country. When I say the enemy is within, we just had a guy on who's a Marine, right? You go serve your country as a Marine. You're a young man, and all of a sudden, the Donald Trump, the president of the United States, says, "Come to Washington D.C. It's going to be wild," right? So we go down there because we believe the election was stolen from him. We're there to make a difference and to make sure that they see a big contingent of people, and they'll throw this election back to the states, give people a little bit more time to figure out what went down within some of these swing states. And you end up in prison as a Marine for 5.5 months, where the FBI is pulling you up one prison cell to put you in another for basically doing what the president told you to do, which was come to the Capitol building. And then all the barriers were gone. I don't know what happened when Tyler was, but when I got there were no barriers. Nobody knew where they could and couldn't go.
Well,
right?
the police were taking them and moving them and telling them to go through.
It seemed to me that on the other side of the, and I say this all the time, but on the other side of the Capitol, they were waving people in.
Yeah.
You know, there's the scene that you see where everybody is, you know, freaking out and this, that, and the other. But, you know, there's multiple different ways to get into the Capitol. And I've seen videos, didn't see it live, but I've seen videos where the cops are waving people in. Come on in. And then you go inside and you get trapped and you end up in prison.
As these guys are just walking around the halls. Yeah, they're walking around the halls. If they were really terrorists, don't you think that the Capitol Police would be on them and dragging them out of the Capitol? No, these guys are walking around. They're looking. They're waving their flags in the rotunda and everything. You know,
as a Marine from Cornell.
Yeah, and it's funny because I talked to you about this, and you feel like you may have even interviewed an FBI agent while you were there.
Well, I interviewed somebody that was a little bit strange. So he knew before the news broke of what happened with who was the woman that got killed? What was her name? You know who I'm talking about?
Ashley Babbitt.
Ashley Babbitt. So he knew the Ashley Babbitt story before the news had broke about Ashley Babbitt, because he saw that we had cameras. He saw that we were getting interviewing people, and the people that were with me, he called him over and we said, "Did you see it?" And he said, "Yeah, it was right there." And I said, "Well, what happened?" And he said, "This woman was trying to go through a window, and somebody at Secret Service shot her twice. He goes, blood everywhere, and she just went down." And we said, "Was it for sure Secret Service?" He said, "The guy was in a suit. It was definitely Secret Service." So then later, when you see Ashley Babbitt get shot, right, when you actually see the video, the guy that we saw was not there. He was not there. I have that on video. Should I play that tomorrow? Maybe I'll play that.
We should, especially after having Tyler on.
Tells us exactly what happened in real time. Tells us that he watched it with his own eyes. Then we see the video later on, and that guy that we had the conversation with is not in the video anywhere.
Yeah. And you've seen the video that came out recently, right? Where the FBI agents, their camera footage, their body cams or something that they have on is recording them. And someone got a hold of that footage. I don't know if it was through some type of, sunshine request or whatever, right? But they have Trump hats and they're giving each other gear to put on before they go to the Capitol. And so there's more and more evidence coming out that there was federal law enforcement involvement to incite or push. And again, we were told we were conspiracy theorists for thinking that, right? And now we have video evidence and all these things coming out. It's ridiculous.
Isaiah, I had seen Antifa because I was traveling the country. I was in the shoe business at that point, and anytime there was something going on politically, I got right in the middle of it. So I had seen Antifa walking the streets of Seattle before really anybody knew who they were.
Yeah,
it was all white young kids, probably in their early to mid 20s, and they were banging on trash cans. So they were walking up the street in formation, like a military outfit, banging on trash cans. I was with this guy. It was crazy. We had just come back from dinner. I was staying at the Marriott Hotel in downtown Seattle. I was working with Nordstrom's at the time, and we're coming back from dinner, and you hear it banging as you're kind of walking up the block, and you hear this banging going on. And as we got to the corner where you could see them, they were walking up the street. And the guy that I was with, I said, "Hey, let's stick around and watch what goes down here." And he goes, No. He freaked out. And I said, "Okay, hang on." So I walked him another block up into the hotel. And then as soon as we got in the elevator, I said, "Okay, see you later." And I went back to see what was going down. So I stood on the corner as they walked by.
Wow.
And those type of people, I'd seen them there. And I'd seen them definitely saw them in Atlanta, Georgia. They were all lined up on the streets with guns in Atlanta, Georgia. That was during the Stop the Steal thing that I was covering. And they were there on January 6th. So I don't know where these people are coming from or why they're not in any trouble, but they were there on January 6th. You could tell by you just know them when you see them, kind of thing. Once you experience, you see what's going on.
They show up and they all have printed signs somehow ready to go.
Well, you know how it is. Crowds on demand. You know the deal. All right, who we starting with? Let's do it. I'm gonna go try not to die later on today. What
I told you.
You talk about a professional, Isaiah. Holy cow. I'm telling you, my head is beating like somebody is pounding from the inside. I can barely breathe through my nose. I got gunk running down into my chest. And here I am 3 hours later killing it.
For the people.
Killing it for the people.
For the people only. You got to do honey and lemon water. Remember?
I got to get something going on with this throat. My throat is killing me.
Let's do Jones Air and Water. Speaking of that.
JonesWater.com, that guy, Everett Jones.
Oh, yeah.
The free ice cream
guy. Yeah.
You'll be the filter or you'll buy the filter. And let me just say, I'm now living it, right? Because normally I don't get sick very often, quite honestly. And I'm staying at my buddy's house. Beautiful home. Very beautiful home. But he doesn't have the air filter. And sure enough, I'm sleeping in the bedroom. I wake up. My sinuses are stuffed like crazy. I got the gunk running down into my throat. Everything is bothering me. I'm gonna have to go stay at my dad's condo tonight because we got the air filter in there. And he told me, He said, just eventually you're going to get sick. Your immune system's going to be a wreck if you don't breathe clean air and drink clean water. It's just the way it is, Rob. He goes, you got to get these things taken care of. And I said, we do. We have it at our home. But here, no air filter. And a guy with asthma and allergies is suffering today. I got to tell you, as he likes to say, you'll be the filter or you'll buy the filter. JonesWater.com. JonesWater.com. If you want to give him a call, 636-899-1040. As I understand it, his business is very good. People are starting to understand the funky air that's out in the skies with the chemtrails and this and that and the other coming down, and you're breathing it. When you get into your home, you need a crisp, clean environment. Healthway Deluxe Air Purification System. That is what is in Dr. Helen Gelhart's office because she likes clean air as well. Clean air, clean water, safe, happy home, whether you have kids, grandparents, whoever's living in the house. First thing you got to do to make sure that everybody is healthy, whether they have skin problems, allergies, asthma, doesn't matter. You must have clean air and clean water to drink. JonesWater.com, 636-899-1040. If you want to do business with my man Everett, he is in St. Charles County, Lincoln, Franklin, Warren, and St. Louis. If you go to the east side, and Jefferson, did I forget Jefferson? Jefferson as well. If you go to the east side, Madison, Monroe, Jersey, and St. Clair, JonesWater.com, 636-899-1040. Do your family a favor and make sure clean air, clean water in your home. You'll be the filter or you'll buy the filter. JonesWater.com, 636-899-1040, 636-899-1040, JonesWater.com.
Talking about the air purification system is definitely working. I saw someone walk up to Everett at the live event and talk to him about it. They're saying, I need to get one of those in my house. So it's definitely working, letting people know
I'll just say this. If you have asthma and allergies and you don't have a purification of the air in your house, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, It really doesn't, because when you have allergies, especially in Missouri, and pollen is in the air and that kind of thing, you're just bound to get sick. And I should know better. I really should. I'm such an idiot. We know that. All right, who's next?
Don't say that about yourself.
That's true. Everybody knows it.
Valvoline Express Care, Tony Clark.
Tony Clark, I talked to him last night. Valvoline Express Care. He understands what we're doing, Isaiah, with the targeting of customers. Because I told him, I think this is going to be better for advertisers than the radio. And so I talked to him. He goes, I know all about it, Rob. I know all about targeting people. He goes, when I see a lift, it's because I'm spending money on Facebook to target the areas about within a 5-mile radius of my business. I said, good, I don't have to explain this for, terribly long. I said, Isaiah's the one that explained it to me. I absolutely love it. And I want to do local advertising. It's very important to me that I keep my local advertisers. They brought me here, right? Isaiah, they're the ones that got us to this point.
Yep.
Express Care, Valvoline Express Care. If you want to get coupons or check out their business, Valvoline-Express Care. My man, Tony Clark, he has locations in Warrenton, Missouri, Cape Girardeau, St. Peter's Parkway, Mid-Rivers Mall Drive, Troy, Illinois, and Lee May Ferry Road. As he likes to say, 15 minutes from Bay to on your way. No appointments, no sales pressure, no nonsense. Just quick, easy, efficient oil changes with happy people doing the job for you. You don't get in there and get high-pressure salespeople trying to upsell you. Just quick, efficient oil changes. Valvoline Express Care. One more time. Warrenton, Cape Girardeau, St. Peter's Parkway, Mid-Rivers Mall Drive, Troy, Illinois, Lee May Ferry Road. And if you do not have that sticker on your car, we cannot be friends.
That's right. That's right. No friend zone if you don't have the sticker on your car. You're doing it.
I'm suffering. Who's next?
Let's do GraceHauling.com. GraceHauling.com.
Spoke to him yesterday as well. GraceHauling.com. 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 Outstanding customer service, competitive pricing. But for the grace of God, I would not have such a thriving business. That's what Gary Schneider told me. You're going to see Grace Hauling trucks and dumpsters all over the area because he does great work. People like doing business with Gary because he's a good man. If you're a residential customer, trash pickup, recyclables, yard waste, bulk pickups, you name it, he'll take care of you. Gary Schneider, GraceHauling.com, 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 636-398-8060. But I just think go to the website, GraceHauling.com, commercial or residential, doesn't matter to me. Been around since 1998. They will take care of it. That should be your garbage, trash, rubbish pickup system. GraceHauling.com, GraceHauling.com. One more time, GraceHauling.com.
Let's do RAK Custom Coatings.
Had dinner with him last night. See how I keep in touch with my
you have to.
advertisers. I love them. RAK Custom Coatings.com. RAK, RAK Custom Coatings.com. Now, again, I have a buddy that did this up in Kennebunkport, Maine, and it looks absolutely beautiful. This guy does incredible work. You can see it on your screen right there. Locally owned, family owned, locally owned and operated since 2001. So if you have, if you want to install industrial strength, long lasting coatings built to handle anything your home or business can throw at them, you got to check out RAK Custom Coatings. Doesn't that look beautiful? Boy, I tell you what, when you got great flooring, it does make a difference. From garages to commercial spaces, RAK Custom Coatings delivers tough, beautiful finishes built to last. Check it out. Whether it's garages, whether it's basements, whether it's industrial space, doesn't matter. Get that floor looking nice, clean, crisp, sharp, and beautiful. And what an impression it makes on customers. What a difference it'll make in your garage. What a difference it will make in the beauty. RAK Custom Coatings.com. 636-398-5040. 636-398-5040. They are your leader in flooring for industrial spaces and garages. Been around since 2001. And again, I said, what do you want me to say? I always say, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to stand out and say? And he said, family owned, locally operated, and family owned. If you want to do business with one of us, it is RAK Custom Coatings.com. RAK, R-A-K, Custom Coatings.com.
That's what our listeners want, is what I've figured out, and our viewers, is that they want to keep it in the family, right?
Small business advocates. I'm gonna try to get everybody out, all the advertisers, try to get them out in one place so that we can figure out how to tie ourselves together through social media, through email and so forth, so that if somebody comes and they're doing roofing with ECS roofing and my man Larry Evans, all of a sudden he goes, you know what, if you need this, here's some businesses that I hope that you will participate in. Because if you buy a water system from Everett Jones and Everett's got a little sheet of paper, go, look, these are the people that we do business with. If you need any of these services, these are the people we recommend, and you do a good job for them. Now people want to do business with all your buddies and vice versa, and you can build a little community. I've done it before in the shoe business. Trust me, it works. But you build this infrastructure of community where you're all working together and everybody's business starts to feed off of the other. We will put that together for you. I promise you. And you're going to love it when this starts to take shape. ECS Roofing. Let's get them up there, my man. ECS Roofing, again, roofing, siding, decks, gutters, garage doors, custom exterior metals. What he said to me that really stuck, and one of the reasons I wanted to do business with him, is he talked about the door knockers, the people that come knock on your door every time there's a storm and say, hey, you got a little something going on with your roof there. Your siding's a little bit messed up. I can get that fixed for you. I'll deal with your insurance and we'll get it fixed. He said, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. He goes, I'm a licensed insurance adjuster. If there's something wrong with your roof and the insurance is going to take care of it, I know. You don't have to go through the hassle. I know what they're going to take care of. So I'll get up on your roof. I'll do it at a great price. I'll do it right the first time. I've been in business for 30 years. ECS Roofing and Exteriors. ECS Roofing and Exteriors. My man, Larry Evans. Again, just has been wonderful to me. I'm so excited for him to be in the advertising family. You can reach him at 314-486-3567, 314-486-3567. And again, if you just go to Facebook and get ECS Roofing, just type in ECS Roofing and Exteriors, you can see all the work that he does. He's been around for 30 years. You can trust him. And when you get general contractors, Isaiah, the number one thing people complain about is if they don't have somebody that they can trust in the business, they're always worried they're going to get overcharged, that somebody's going to do shoddy work. This guy's been around for a long time. He's one of us. Again, ECS Roofing and Exteriors. If you need anything done, any kind of contracting work done, roofing, siding, decks, gutters, garage doors, custom exterior metal, residential or commercial, new construction, storm damage, free licensed inspections, and he is a licensed independent adjuster. My man, Larry Evans.
Check it out, Larry.
314-486-3567.
I got my magnet here.
There it is.
There it is.
He had those and he didn't give me any. What's up with that?
It's because Ivy's too cute. He wanted to give him all the Ivy. That's really what it was.
I saw somebody playing with those. I should have got me one.
Yeah, she loves them, Larry. She keeps stealing them from me, and she takes them to our fridge, and she just puts them on there, and then she takes stuff and clips it to it. It's so funny.
I love it. All right, and then final one of the day.
Moe's.
My man, Moe's Pizza. I hope you're listening out there, Mike and Brenda. Moe's Pizza in Washington, Missouri, as I like to say, a landmark in Washington, Missouri. Did you see all the cars that were there? Did you see that picture?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
This guy's
created a full lot.
He was telling me just the beginning of starting his business and, just how it all began to develop. And now he's kind of a landmark and people know who he is. And if you're in Washington, Missouri, you go out there and you get yourself the pizza and salad bar, but it's family oriented. It's what we try to push is family oriented businesses, locally owned, good people. Why go to some kind of pizza place that is, there's 90 of them, it's corporate, it's cold, when you go to a local business person with a great family and a great heart? My man, Mike Johns, and his lovely wife, Brenda, at the corner of Grand and 5th in Washington, Missouri, Grand and 5th Street in Washington, Missouri. He reminds me, God owns the place. I just work here. He believes that you're doing a good job with your Bible study there, Isaiah. He said, I know the Bible. I'm self-taught, and everything you've said so far checks out. So I think he was paying attention to you, see if you're going to blow it for me. And thank God you didn't, because I'd be very mad. Those people, again, if you have any kind of gathering together, whether it be birthday parties, anniversaries, political meetings, or Bible studies, any kind of gathering, get out to Moe's Pizza. They will take care of you. They'll treat you like family. You'll love it. Moe's Pizza, as I like to say, a landmark in Washington, Missouri, open every day but Monday. Moe's Pizza. Get there. All right, Isaiah. How about that? I got to finish.
What a great show. That was a fantastic show today.
That was a lot of information, right? So we got to cut these things up. You want to talk a little bit later on? Let me get some water in my system and try not to die. And then cut these things up, get some clips out. There's a lot of good information there. Act from Missouri.
I'll get the Act from Missouri interview. I'll put that out, and then I'm going to put Tyler's interview out. Just the full interviews. I'll put those out on X, and then we'll try to get them uploaded to YouTube and Rumble for everyone. And then we'll have some clips we'll post on mainly YouTube, just for everyone's knowledge. YouTube is where we post a majority of our clips right now. We will roll out Instagram and TikTok and things like that, but me and Rob are working through how can we get access to some old accounts and things like that. But for now, if you go to YouTube, I mean, Rob, last night I posted a couple clips, and we had about 4,000 views overnight.
Well, check this out. This is what I don't understand. You got to explain this to me.
Yeah.
So yesterday I was a little bit bummed out because I kept seeing the numbers go up and down, which I've never seen. Generally, when we do a show, you watch the numbers climb all the time, and you say, Rob, on the screen, if you get 500, that's outstanding. So I'm always looking for that number where it's 630. It's way more than that. This is just, these are not compiled numbers, right?
Yeah.
And I was a little bit irritated with it because I'm like, I didn't feel very good, but it was because we were challenging Donald Trump, what was going on there. And then we see that the show continually is getting played with just a little bit. And I'm like, it's aggravating me.
Facebook really is the worst.
Well, yeah, and I want to get that resolved, because Facebook is where we're going to go after but I think the clips will be fine, because we'll know.
I think what we'll do too, because I saw this, is that we should probably start having you post the Rumble link every day after the show, just in case. Just post a little summary of what we talked about, and then post the Rumble link so that everyone can find it, just in case. We never know. Sometimes people are reporting our stream because they don't like us, and it gets
That's
taken
what
down.
I think is happening. That's what everybody tells me. They think
we appeal them, just so everyone knows. We do appeal them, and they get put back up. But when people it's the AI bots that are taking all this information and deciding for us, which is, I think, what we've been talking about on the show a lot, is we don't want the AI bots to have the decision-making power, right?
Well, I got this. I got a message from a buddy of mine, John, today, and he was, he likes to listen to the show every day. He's a friend of mine, right? And he said, "Where's the show? Where's the show? I can't find the show. I can't find the show." I said, "Just go to Facebook. It's the Rob Carter Show." He goes, "I know, but it's not there." And when I hear those things, in fact, he said the only thing that comes up is talking about what the lineup is today. So he saw the clip that I put out there, but the show was not. And I know you're posting it.
Yep.
We have to figure out how to get around that, because what I think is happening is one of two things. Not everybody is getting it. You can see that, right? Because if you have 1,400 or 1,500,
that's how social media works now.
Yeah, 1,415 people that are there for your show, because this is a business page. This isn't Rob Carter's page. This is a business page. And if I'm putting it out there and you have 1,500 people, well, then you should have at least 1,000 or 800 people that see it. And generally we have 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. Yesterday, when I looked at the end of the show, it was 232. I said, 232, what is going on around here? And then I heard that they had taken it down. That crap aggravates me a little bit. I just got to be honest with you. And I think what is happening is now they're starting, because we're challenging, as Tyler Burks, as he said, or Tyler Dykes, when I say Tyler Burks, Taylor Burks is another guy that's running in Missouri. Tyler Dykes, when you start to challenge the system for whatever reason, you do get monitored just a little bit, and you have people that come out from the establishment that want to hurt you. I can't, you can never know that that's happening. But if my buddy that knows me for 30 years and knows where to find the show can't find it on Facebook this morning, then there has to be a lot of people that are not seeing it run through their feed.
And anyone on Facebook right now, I would just tell you, Facebook is absolutely the worst platform. It is the worst of all social media platforms. It's the most censored platform that exists. You do not want to be on Facebook if you're trying to find the true information. If you want to find Rob Carter Show easy, Rumble and X are going to be the most reliable, where it's going to be easy to find us and we will never get taken down, because those are the only 2 true free speech platforms right now, where there's people that say stuff way crazier than what we do, Rob.
Yeah.
You know, and they'll never be taken down because those platforms are committed to that. Facebook is committed to censorship, because that's who Mark Zuckerberg is. And so I'll just tell everyone, I know a lot of people like Facebook, they're using Facebook every day, but if that's where you're going to find your information, you are going to be sorely disappointed, because you're not going to be able to find all the information you want.
Right. And then from an advertising standpoint, that's where I think we really use Facebook, is from the advertising standpoint, because, you know, as I explained it to everybody, you told me, you said, you know, the best thing you can do is do, you know, a 2, 4, 8 minute clip for let's say you find the best parts of your show, and then you do just like Joe Rogan, you take a 4 minute clip, and then you advertise within that 4 minute clip, and then you determine where you want to put it, right? Because this is the great thing about Facebook. There are some good things, and then I can take that clip, and if you want to do, if you want to cover Jefferson County, then we can cut that clip, do a commercial for you that's 4 minutes long or 8 minutes long, and drive it home in Jefferson County, boost it, and all of a sudden you got 15, 20,000 people seeing your clip. So it's better if you scroll through Facebook, watch a 3-hour show.
If you're scrolling through Facebook, I mean, it's vertical videos that you're mainly going to see, you know, and so that's why that's a good strategy. Like we talk about on Facebook, is that the live stream is going to get canceled. People are going to take it down. We're going to have to appeal and get it put back up and things like that, because that's how Facebook is. But the reels are amazing.
People are messing with me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
How about Amy? Amy, come on now.
I know you're so anti-tech.
I'm not anti-tech.
I will say, we had someone reach out in the chat. John Grady. I don't know if you know who that is.
I don't, but he's been commenting a lot. And what's maybe I should meet him.
It looks like he's got a company. So we should, John, if you can reach out to Rob on Facebook Messenger or the email. I'm starting to get a lot of emails. I want people to really work on this email, because I see those faster. Yeah, John, email us, because it looks like he might be interested in advertising potentially.
Great. Okay. And how many should we take with the advertisers? I don't want it to be.
I was going to tell you, I got some.
We're already 11 or 12 now, and it's, you know.
I know. I got some ideas of how we can still bring in some new advertisers, but not make them show sponsors. We could maybe make them an episode sponsor, things like that are going to be once in a while type things, instead of being our actual show sponsors. Because I think we got enough show sponsors where our sponsors that we talk about every day, guys, these are the people who are keeping our lights on. Right. These are going
to. I was talking to a friend of mine last night. She goes, "Don't be acting like you're making all kinds of money." I said, "We're making better money." I said, "But the money is to grow the show. That's the whole point. This is an advocacy group. All we want to do is keep the lights on and pay our bills. And from that point forward, we're just trying to expand the message." I like guys like Tyler Dykes. I like guys like that. I want to make sure that we are able to support people like that. I like people that are willing to challenge the status quo. People that are willing to, you get your butt handed to you, Isaiah. I mean, I got people that follow me and just try to destroy me on a continual basis. I do love it, though. I don't know what's wrong with me. I love it.
Someone just messaged me and said, "Thank you for telling everyone that Facebook is not the place to be." That is hilarious. I got to go. My wife's got to leave at 12:45 here in about 30 minutes. So I got to.
You got it. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Say a little prayer for me, because I am absolutely miserable today. Hopefully we'll get some vitamin C in me, and we'll feel a little bit better tomorrow, because we got another great show for you tomorrow. Be on the lookout. We'll get information out about who's going to be on the show tomorrow. That'll come out just a little bit later on today. Woo, I can't even talk. Anyway, that's all we got for you.
Maybe Rob's voice will sound better in the video tonight.
Woo, good Lord. All right, everybody. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I'll talk to you in a little bit, Isaiah.
See you, everyone.